This ugly loser lost his parents to monsters. They were devoured right in front of him like a tasty lasagna. Jesus! By the time he became a student, he was already stressing about money to support his sister. But everything changed when he awakened a unique SSS rank ability. Now he can summon everything he kills. That is completely broken. A single A rank hunter is already considered powerful, and an S rank hunter is basically a national treasure. Now, a simple student with no family has awakened the strongest ability of all, and he will do anything to put food on the table for his beautiful sister.
Nice.
The place in the mountains has a field on the ground full of people. A woman with glasses is catching the attention of the newcomers to explain. She is an instructor. Zhangzi popped up there. He sees how crowded it is and starts to notice each one. Further ahead, a guide who looks like a rocker is bragging about his A-level talent. Paying attention to the conversation of two guys in front of him, he hears them talking about it. In some corner, a man is struggling because he awakened a D-ranking talent. The other instructor, looking stern, tells them to get ready because they are going to distribute weapons. They form a line like those for getting snacks in the school cafeteria. It's important to know that the Demon Realm is not a game. You could kick the bucket. The battlefield is not the only danger. Some humans also need to stay alert. The instructor also says that to leave the realm, they need to return to the circle. Then it's Zhangzi's turn. The girl explains that after registering, he will be able to pick a weapon, asking about his level. The boy hid his talent level well, especially since he can't handle a brick on his back. He went to choose his weapon while some guys whispered, thinking he was rank D. The instructor is saying that the bow and arrow might be safer for attacking from a distance. People who do things carefully live longer. After distributing almost all the weapons, the instructor became very tired. They went to check the list of how many people with a rank higher than a passed, only 3 in total. Meanwhile, the others rushed through the woods excited to start, but one stayed behind to train with the targets that were there. The instructor saw that Zhangzi was shooting at the targets and was having difficulties. For the protagonist, the bow was much harder to use than he thought it would be. In a real battle, he won't be able to keep trying until he hits, and he still doesn't know any summons. A long time later, the sun was blazing and numerous arrows were on the ground. Zhangzi is focused on his aim. He has already understood how to position himself and shoot. The arrow flew and hit right in the middle of the target, bullseye. Now he is confident after mastering about 80% of his aim. His fingers are tired and calloused. It's time for him to leave and start his journey in the Demon Realm. The realm is divided into layers. In the first layer, there are some monsters that resemble animals. A guy is screaming for help while he and another are fleeing from a huge turtle. It hit the ground with a paw, causing one of them to slip and fall while running. The guy on the ground was snatched up in its big mouth. Then, with a dry sound, an arrow hits her head, right in the center. Zhangzi is shouting to get her attention while the other guy makes a run for it. All excited, he calls the turtle to be his little friend. But it seems she didn't find the idea so cool. The tough one starts running to catch him. Unlike normal turtles, she is quite fast. Zhangzi is leading her to the big circle he spawned at the beginning. One of the pillars seems to sense their presence and shoots a precise lightning bolt at her. This hurt the turtle a lot, reducing her health to almost 0. Then, without wasting time, Zhangzi shoots 3 arrows at her at once, and thus he defeats his first monster in the Demon Realm. The turtle turns blue and begins to disintegrate into pieces, carried away by the wind. He obtained a blue orb that contains the demon's soul. An explanation about the orb appears to him. The orb can be sold, so he decides to keep it for later. An option to summon a copy of the turtle appears in front of him, and he presses it. The light that appeared is beautiful. He admires it for a few seconds during the summoning. Until the creature appears again, Zhangzi feels all giddy seeing what he managed to do. It seems the summoned lava turtle is gentle. He can even pet it. His eyes light up with the possibilities of things he can do from now on. The scene changed to a big rabbit punching a guy in the face. The guys are having trouble defeating the rabbit beast. Orange is the color in the sky now. The day is ending. A noise is heard, and one of the guys turns to see. It's a lava turtle. They tremble in fear as the monster approaches, and then they see better. The turtle is the summoning copy of Zhangzi, and he is riding on its back. Zhangzi is waving hello to the others, excited to see them impressed. The guys are wondering if the demons can be tamed now. Still with a red face, the guy who got punched suggests they tame the giant rabbit. But before he could see, the rabbit was already hitting him in the face again. The other two rush in to defend their friend who lost a tooth to the rabbit. They are already happy just to hit the monster with one of the weapons. Then the rabbit jumps back, distancing itself from the boys. A bit of strength is exerted, and its muscles multiply, increasing its size. Now it looks like a truly terrifying demon. One of the 3 is worried while the other tries to say they can defeat it. But 2 more rabbits jump out of the bushes to face them, and they nearly wet their pants. The sky becomes increasingly orange as the late afternoon passes. Zhangzi was admiring the sunset from atop his lava turtle. Meanwhile, the three boys from before are running like crazy, thinking it's the end for them. They run past the protagonist, telling him to run too, but Zhangzi doesn't understand. He looks back and sees the three rabbits charging towards them at full speed. His body panics, but he manages to react. Quickly, he dodges a blow from the giant rabbit that had jumped to attack him. Zhangzi commands his turtle to counter the blow with its tail. It takes a good chunk of health from the monsters with that strike, hitting them hard. But still, the damage isn't as great as that of the original lava turtle, and the rabbits start hitting the turtle, decreasing its health as well. The dark-haired guy is worried about his friend. She can't withstand the blows and is suffering. Suddenly, one of the rabbits is thrown far away, being exterminated. It was Zhangzi who shot 3 arrows at it all at once. Soon after, the turtle hits another rabbit, earning a compliment from the boy. He manages to hit another rabbit with his arrows. Another long-eared one starts hitting the turtle's head. Zhangzi has to take care of it. With his anger, he aimed the arrow at the rabbit and hit it several times on its body. Zhangzi tells the summoning to hide in the summoning circle while he goes after another. But unexpectedly, it levels up with a fierce shout, increasing its size. The evolution allows it to finish off the remaining rabbit with a single final blow. It is thrown to the ground with force. The day had turned to night when everything ended, and they could sing victory. Now Zhangzi can summon 3 copies of rabbits just like the ones he exterminated. And he does. 3 long-eared ones jump from that shimmering blue light again, strong and large. Now there are 4 beasts summoned by Zhangzi. The next day, the sun was already strong and beautiful again. A message from the class information group was sent for him to go to the altar. Zhangzi was curious about what could be so urgent. Again in the huge stone circle filled with people. The instructor explains that they invited a master of demon taming to help them. This beautiful girl with pink hair is Liu Yuning. Her talent is the shadow of the moon. People whisper about her being the genius who went to a renowned academy for training. She explains that to defeat the Shadow Wolf, they must follow her orders. Everyone present receives the invitation to join her team. Zhangzi notices that some of her information doesn't appear. She must be really strong. The group set out on the mission to defeat the Shadow Wolf with the Master. Zhangzi decides that he won't summon all his copies and wants to hide his power. Out of nowhere, 2 long-eared rabbits and a lava turtle appear to fight with them. A girl behind Liu Yuing says they need to attack all the monsters together. But before anyone can move a finger, the Master had already finished them all quickly. Most were surprised by her agility. They saw why she is considered one of the best. She exterminated the 3 monsters with a single blow. This must be the power of someone at level S. With her vibrant green eyes, she looks back and tells them to keep moving. Zhangzi, who observed everything, was also impressed. It seems the wolf will be hers. Night fell, illuminating the dark sky, and a wolf's howl was heard coming from the top of a peak. Someone says it's the cry of the Shadow Wolf. They have arrived at the location. But ahead there was a kind of dark portal that Liu Yuing was approaching. It is through that portal that the Shadow Wolf will soon appear, so they must move away. Gradually, a type of foul-smelling smoke began to emerge from the portal along with a breeze. And the Shadow Wolf appeared. He is dark as night, and his eyes were sparkling. Unable to see anything because of the smoke, they could not move and risk running into the creature. But Liu Yuing was ready for what was to come, holding her sword in her hands. The wolf was running around her while some people complained about not being able to see. Without waiting any longer, the monster leaped at her, fierce and terrifying, roaring loudly. The woman, who was alert, easily dodged the leap he made. Then, with the grace of a classical dance, she delivered several precise strikes to the demon. The wolf fell to the ground, and its body soon began to disintegrate. The mist cleared, and people could see clearly now. The girl who was nearby witnessed everything. Zhangzi went straight to research the light strikes that the master used. He is super strong. Several of those glowing orbs remained on the ground in place of the wolf. The second layer must have been released. The woman ordered them to return to the altar because the wolf would appear again in an hour. But just as she finished speaking, the portal behind her began to emit smoke again, which makes no sense because the Shadow Wolf was defeated only a few minutes ago. She felt a stronger and darker energy coming from the portal, different from the other wolf. It could only be one thing, an elite Shadow Wolf. Some of the members began to panic at the news. Liu Yuing ordered everyone to run from the location. They would only hinder her now. As she ran with the others, Zhangzi wondered if she could really handle it. The strength of an elite boss monster is equal to that of 5 normal ones. She needs to hold her ground so the others can escape. The wolf quickly jumped in her direction, and she dodged even faster. Several attacks struck the wolf with the sword, but it barely took any of its life. How strong could it be? Quickly the wolf turned and jumped at her again, attempting another attack. This time he succeeded. Several scratches hit Liu Yuning, and ketchup began to ooze from the cuts. Even for her, the wolf seemed too fast, but she could not give up. Zhang Zi paused to think for a moment. It's not every day you encounter a powerful monster like that wolf. Liu Yuning was already quite injured. She hadn't expected him to be this strong. All this time, she had only managed to take away half of his life, and she was already extremely tired. The animal was preparing to deliver a new blow. She also began to prepare, but she couldn't because she had lost so much ketchup that she could no longer use her abilities. Then the wolf, standing in front of her, lunged like a lightning bolt and struck Liu Yuning. She was thrown backward and fell to the ground from the blow. Showing his enormous teeth, he roared. She was now lying on the ground. 3 arrows struck the monster from the side, causing it to shift its focus to Zhang Zi now. A little distance away from the two, he began to call the wolf to chase after him. Liu Yuning recognized him as one of the newcomers in the demon domain. She watched as he dodged a bite from the wolf and urged it to run away. The wolf charged after him, and the two moved away. She thought the protagonist couldn't handle the creature. Zhang Zi was running now. He couldn't afford to drop dead because he had to take care of his sister. He was already tired of running. The wolf was so fast, he needed to lead it to an open field. The monster jumped on him, ready to devour him, but Zhang Zi was faster. His 4 copies were being summoned to help him deal with the wolf. Liu Yuning was worried about the newcomer and wanted to help him soon. She was healing. Then someone appeared and cast a green spell from a wand, covering the redhead's entire body. She recognized the princess and asked what she was doing there. In fact, besides her, there were 3 more demon exterminators. They said she had been irresponsible trying to deal with the elite shadow wolf alone. Liu Yuning felt a bit embarrassed. The guy with a giant shield asked where the monster was. She explained that it had gone after a newcomer and they needed to find him right away. Everyone was surprised. Meanwhile, Zhang Zi was commanding his summons to attack the elite wolf. The lava turtle and the earthen creatures charged at it. The rabbits managed to surround the wolf and start punching him, making him stay still. This way, the slower lava turtle can hit him with its tail. It seems the wolf got angry and retaliates with much more force. One of the rabbits evolves to level 2, so Zhang Zi devises an attack strategy. He instructs the turtle to block the attacks while the rabbits deal more damage to him. The night is passing, and unfortunately, one of the rabbits lost its life. Zhang Zi sees it falling lifeless after taking a very strong blow from the wolf. Now Zhang Zi is angry. If the monster doesn't go down soon, he will run out of copies. With one last brutal blow, the turtle hits the wolf on its back, making it scream. They did it. The elite shadow wolf was finally defeated. It was close. The remaining summons have little life left. The orbs he gained are of medium level, along with a necklace and a knife for combat. Since he doesn't fight hand to hand, he will keep them to sell later and make some money. Zhang Zi turns around and pets his remaining rabbit. He laments losing 2 of his beasts, but that's how it is. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Then he summoned his copy of the elite shadow wolf. It truly is an unforgettable achievement from the first layer that he will never forget. The night has progressed, and now it's late. Time to go back because he has class tomorrow. Later, the other exterminators found the location with the marks of the battle on the ground. The more experienced ones really doubt that the rookie managed to defeat the wolf. The guy with the big shield recognizes Zhang Zi's kind heart when he returned to save the others. Tomorrow, Liu Yuning will go to school to talk to the teacher about the student. Because if Zhang Zi really has kicked the bucket, it is her responsibility. Once again at home, Zhang Zi is reviewing his items to see what he can sell. He picked up a strength orb to try to absorb its power. If his strength level increases, a plan also increases in the other. The next day, he will be strong. The next morning, his younger sister made a simple and delicious breakfast. He is worried. He needs to pay the rent, and her kidney health is worsening. The girl thinks that since he came back so late, his talent must not be very good. She tells him not to return to the domain because it is dangerous, and that she knows how to pay the rent. While eating breakfast, he became curious about how she would do that, but she doesn't say. Sometime later, before leaving, he tells her to focus on her studies because he can pay the rent. The college academy is quite busy. In the classroom, 2 boys are talking about the powers they have awakened. Zhang Zi sat down and took out his phone. The boys were now joking around. He opens the auction site to sell the orbs he collected in the demon domain. The teacher enters the room and tells everyone to be quiet. A beautiful girl enters with him. It's Liu Yuning, but in normal clothes, not in exterminator gear. Some boys comment on having seen her up close in the domain, wondering if she has a boyfriend. The teacher is asking who helped Liu Yuning. She will thank him personally. Zhang Zi doesn't say it was him. He doesn't need any thanks from her. Outside the classroom, the teacher says that whoever helped her may not be one of his students. Inside the classroom, the students talk about the incident, some impressed and others pretending. A nerdy guy sitting in front of Zhang Zi says he knows who the person was. He says it was the Rakshasa, Zhang Zi tries to say that it might not have been him. The chubby guy invites him to go to the domain with him and two girls. Zhang Zi declines. The other one asks if he needs money for his sister. Zhang Zi says everything is fine, and the chubby guy tells him to meet him in the domain. Later, while cleaning the academy floor, he thinks about selling more orbs so he won't have to work there. In a corner, some students are praising another fifth-year student. He seems advanced. He says he isn't that strong. If he only had half of Liu Ying's strength. Zhang Zi thinks that student is indeed very powerful, facing a punching machine. He throws a strong punch there to see how much the score will be and is surprised. Even absorbing just one demon soul or his strength has already increased much more. Your phone rings with a message from your sister saying she will study at a friend's house again. As soon as he returned to the demon realm, he was determined to collect more orbs. Looking at his inventory, there are 7 slots available for him to place more summons. In a more secluded area, he decided to summon his elite Shadow Wolf copy. He wants to catch a few more lava turtles and then send the wolf to fight. Zhang Zi is shooting arrows while the wolf charges in, defeating another one. They even managed to defeat another big-eared rabbit. An hour later, his mini army of monster copies was formed to head to the next layer. Suddenly, he hears someone shouting for help from afar. He sees the chubby guy with the 2 girls fleeing from some guys coming out of a portal. The chubby guy is begging 2 men not to exterminate them because they are newbies. They say that indeed, they have nothing, but they can kidnap him. In such cases, the hostage rarely comes out alive. Unfortunately, the police can't do much. Xiu Pang tries to say that his family is poor, but the guys heard him say he lives in a mansion. The red-haired guy uses a power to make him stop running. The chubby guy and the girls are trapped in a red smoke that binds their legs. With a sharp axe pointed at his neck, he demands that the chubby guy talk about his family. He refuses to give any information about that. The crazy guy threatens to cut off a little hand. Then an arrow is shot at the guy, hitting his arm with the axe. Now the guy is very angry, shouting to know who shot at him. Then he sees Zhang Zi behind a bush. Zhang Zi calls them a bunch of trash that does senseless and malicious things. One of the guys runs towards him, and he starts running too. Then the whole gang starts chasing him to catch him and make mincemeat of him. Zhang Zi is clever. He is going down a path he knows that can throw them off. He lures them into a dead-end alley. The guys, of course, mock him, thinking Zhang Zi made a stupid choice. Little do they know. With a disturbing look, the crazy guy with the axe says he wants to torture him. Zhang Zi asks if when he takes someone's life in the demon realm, the people outside won't find out. The crazy guy says no, nobody finds out about anything, walking towards him. Zhang Zi crouches down, saying that if that's the case, then it's actually great. He has some guests for the occasion. Then, forming a circle around the men, he begins to summon the copies. The turtles and rabbits appear roaring. The guys can't understand how so many monsters appeared at once. Everyone there starts running to escape the summons, scared. But that dark mist begins to appear again, and gleaming eyes look at them. The Shadow Wolf summon appears, completely terrifying the men. Zhang Zi grabs their attention again. Well, if they kick the bucket there, nobody will know. Already trembling with fear, the guys respond that yes. And then, the wolf charges fiercely and hungrily with its scary eyes and huge sharp teeth, hitting several guys at once. Then they get a tail whip from a turtle. And finally, the rabbits approach the crazy guy, ready to cause havoc too. You reap what you sow, and those men reaped what they planted. There are several good and interesting things with them. Zhang Zi is collecting them. He finds a card that makes the enemy very angry for a few seconds. The items are stored, and he leaves the bodies there on the ground, heading home to sleep. As he approaches the portal, the chubby guy calls out to him. He and the girls thank him profusely for saving them from the tragic end they would have faced. The chubby guy seems to be really rich, offering him $1 million, but John refuses. He says goodbye to the 3, heading to the portal, which has a very beautiful golden hue. Now we find ourselves in the second layer of the demon realm. It was a surprise for Zhang Zi that this layer was in a cave. Someone seems a bit desperate to join a team, but Zhang Zi prefers to stay alone. At this level, he will deal with worse monsters. Spiders, bats, and even demon frogs. He was noticing how the animals were stronger, distracted by the book while walking. Suddenly, he stops and notices something strange. A presence in the spider web scares him. A huge green poisonous spider with enormous legs is descending to catch him. It is indeed large, with intense eyes. Zhang Zi begins to summon one of his copies to deal with it in that place. 2 big-eared rabbits emerge from the beam of light. One of them charges straight at the spider to punch it, but the animal is faster and cuts the web, causing it to fall on top of him. She turns her backside towards him and releases a green, slimy goo all over. The rabbit is taking damage and is trapped in its web, worrying Zhang Zi. All the summons receive the order to attack the huge spider together, preparing themselves. It worked. The venomous spider was defeated, and it is starting to disappear. Zhang Zi felt somewhat disappointed. His level 2 rabbit perished, and he only gained 2 orbs. Without lamenting too much, he summons the venomous spider and sees how strong it is compared to the others. Some time later, he continues walking through the cave, having managed to defeat 2 spiders. The monsters in the second layer are stronger, but in compensation there are fewer of them. 2 red eyes appear in the darkness behind him. They are 2 bats trying to attack him. Before they reach him, Zhangzi summons his copies to protect himself. He was quite happy that he is able to summon faster than before, otherwise he would have been bitten. Again, all the copies must attack the bats together to defeat them. The animals are fighting fiercely, with bites and punches flying everywhere. Zhangzi noticed something interesting. The bat steals life and recovers. So thinking of a strategy, he summons the copy of the venomous spider to attack it. In a leap, she raises a web and starts shooting the green poisonous goo. It works. The poison prevents the vampire bat from stealing life to recover. Once again, he commands all the summons to strike a single bat altogether. A horrible scream that hurts the ears is heard when the bat is defeated. They fell to the ground, but some summoned monsters also bit the dust in the process. With these 2 bats, Zhangzi now has a total of 8 monsters. It's time for him to go see the boss of the second layer. There in the crowd, people are complaining because it seems some guys are taking advantage of the demon domain. It appears that the boss is not there and that they are charging orbs to see the guy. Further ahead, a group of guys is telling everyone to shut up. He shows a sign with the amount they need to pay to see the boss. 10 orbs. The monster exterminators are outraged. They think the price is too high for this. With a grumpy face, he asks if anyone else wants to fight the layer boss. From the back, Zhangzi emerges, approaching to talk to the guy about this. He says he doesn't have the orbs and offers 10 gold bars to pay the amount. The guy warns him not to try to trick them, because the consequences will be terrible. Finally, the guy relents, and all excited, he decides to go show the boss of that layer, the sky-swallowing frog. Zhangzi is also feeling excited. He knows the guy must be doubting him. After passing through the corridor, they arrive at the fight location. Someone is there. The man looks very strong, with lines on his eyebrows and almost bald due to his short hair. Still chattering, the young man tells Zhangzi to stay close but not to interfere with the fight. They enter the cave further ahead and discover that it is simply gigantic. Zhangzi peeks at what is in front of him, as the big guy is blocking his view. What his eyes see puts him in a panic. It is a hideous and enormous frog that is there. Zhangzi wonders if the frog really swallowed the sky while the guy prepares to fight. In a rush, the man runs towards the monster. Fire is coming from his hands. He hits the frog with several consecutive punches, and the others watch the scene in admiration. Without further ado, the frog spits out a fireball so large that it is bigger than the man. The people around move aside to avoid being hit. The muscular man climbs onto the frog and is now punching it in the big head. Zhang is getting worried. The frog's health is running low, and he wants to have a copy of the monster. With fire in his eyes, the man prepares to deliver the final blows that will be fatal. The frog is screaming, but the man doesn't stop. Zhangzi sees a chance to shoot an arrow. It hits right above the monster's eye, and the guy is confused about what is happening. Noticing that the punches have stopped, the creature throws the strong guy off of it. The boys fight with Zhangzi, and one shouts that they can't let him win the fight. The captain is letting the frog go towards the rookie. He thinks he can't handle it. Zhangzi is feeling a bit anxious. He needs to prove what he is capable of and not be burned alive. 3 guys who were watching are mocking him, saying that he won't be able to defeat it. The frog shoots a jet of fire, and Zhangzi manages to quickly get out of the way. With his summoning magic, he calls forth all his copies to take down the frog. The people in the room were truly surprised by this. The sky-swallowing frog is attacked from all sides by Zhangzi's monsters. He is also shooting multiple arrows at it until its health finally reaches 0. The guys in the room were shocked that he actually managed to do it. Zhangzi is excited about the amount of good acorns the frog left behind when some men approach him from behind. They demand that Zhangzi give everything he has plus the 10 gold bars he had promised. Zhangzi got angry with the guys. He lost 3 more monsters to win. The muscular man catches his attention, saying that talent is good but useless. Then with a leap he finishes off the remaining vampire bat. Seeing him stepping on the summon made Zhangzi's nerves tremble with rage. With foul words, the man insults Zhangzi's type of ability, the monster summoning. Zhangzi is already thinking about what to do with all those men. He wants to get rid of them. Someone shouts for everyone to stop the discussion right now. He is a type of inspector who manages things there in the demon realm. Zhangzi realizes that the man is important and has power there, deciding to stay quiet. The guy is telling the boss that they can't let anyone find out about the wrong things they did, but the inspector is smarter and had recorded everything they said at that moment. The atmosphere becomes heavier when the strongman says he won't have the chance to use it as evidence. Half scared, the inspector realizes he will kick the bucket if he lets the big guy lay hands on him. Now Zhangzi and the skinny inspector are surrounded by the muscular man and his gang. To our protagonist's surprise, the other one is saying he will protect him from the others, and that after everything is over, they will be introduced to his superior. One of the guys runs to attack the two, but the inspector casts an ice bolt, freezing him. Even with a super strong ability, it takes him 60 seconds to use it again. The muscular man orders all the men to attack. One of them runs toward the fight. With elegance, the inspector dodges the attack and counters with a super kick to his stomach. We discover that he graduated from a hand-to-hand combat academy. He is not just a nerd. Raising his voice, he commands the strongman to surrender immediately and obey the laws. The same guy who was kicked laughs and passes a magical golden light to the muscular man, who charges to attack the inspector with his hands on fire and rage boiling. Confident, the inspector launches an ice bolt, but it has no effect on the other's body. He tells Zhang Zi to run because they won't be able to handle the damage that will be caused. The almost bald man threatens, saying that none of them will escape the blow. Then he shouts, ready to deliver a fatal blow, making the inspector tremble with fear. Unexpectedly, a lava turtle blocks the fire, and he does not hit the four-eyed one. A venomous spider shoots a web that hits the guy who was trying to strike. Zhang Zi tells the inspector to leave the rest of the fight to him. He explains that he doesn't need to move because the ones fighting are the summons. Suddenly, a purple smoke begins to appear in the air. Someone asks what that is. The elite Shadow Wolf copy appears, leaving some guys scared. The muscular man had already torn the spider webs that were holding him with even more anger than before. Finally, the terrible sky-swallowing frog is also summoned by Zhang Zi. Some guys are really scared, not believing that the layer bosses were summoned by Zhang Zi. There is no turning back. The muscular man will fight while the others will attack the two. He takes a huge leap into the air to start the confrontation. Zhang Zi commands the Shadow Wolf and the sky-swallowing frog to finish him off. The frog is hit by a punch and loses a chunk of health right from the start. Shooting a jet of fire back, the muscular man quickly dodges to the side. Another strong punch hits the frog. It lets out a pitiful scream, losing another piece of its health. Zhang Zi realizes he will finish off the frog before dealing with the Shadow Wolf. The man with the headband interrupts again, saying that the muscular man has already killed several of that frog. Zhang Zi makes an important decision. He will use a valuable artifact in this fight. He picks up that berserk talisman he found earlier, and the inspector is surprised. He throws it to the elite Shadow Wolf, and the talisman begins to be absorbed by it. The wolf growls as it transforms, its fur becoming even darker and its eyes red. The muscular man also notices that the wolf's energy has changed. Now he wants to catch it. Everyone is astonished by what they are seeing in front of them. Thinking about this, the muscular man does not remember having attacked the Shadow Wolf. He cowardly flees to save his life after having messed with the wrong guy. Even Zhang Zi mocks this. It's too late to run now. Like a lightning bolt, the Shadow Wolf darts towards the man who was fleeing. It unleashes its sharp claws, ready to finish the guy off. The wolf is so fast that we can't see it, hitting the muscular man in the back. A thud is heard as he falls to the ground on his knees, his companions calling for him. And it's not that he is surprised by Zhang Zi's strength. He finally recognizes it. Then the man falls forward, defeated. Terrified, the other guys want to flee. If even their boss has kicked the bucket, they wouldn't stand a chance. But before they can run far, the wolf appears, devouring all of them. The inspector, who has observed everything, is thinking about how to control the protagonist with such power. In the distance, some little people come running. They are the inspector's companions. Meanwhile, Zhang Zi is rummaging through the things the guys left after leaving. He finds a very beautiful golden card and becomes curious about it. The card can be used to enter the death zone that Zhang Zi has never heard of before. He is finishing absorbing the power from those orbs when the inspector approaches, complimenting him. His proposal to invite Zhang Zi to join his team is declined with a no. Still, the inspector gives him his number in case he changes his mind. Zhang Zi is almost leaving through the portal when the four-eyed man calls for him again. He tells him to never betray the people or the country, no matter how powerful he becomes. Zhang Zi reassures him, saying that he is also a citizen, and steps through the portal. Now we see a new setting, many trees, mountains, and birds flying. Zhang Zi notices that there are even fewer people in the third layer than in the second. Curious, he picks up the demon guidebook to take a look at the monsters. There are some tiny goblins wielding swords, others throwing stones. Now the monsters are not beasts or insects, but they begin to resemble humans. He realizes that it is getting late and decides to return home before dawn arrives. Back home, he wonders why all the lights are off. He goes to his sister's room and calls for her. When she doesn't respond, he decides to enter. She is not in bed and hasn't come home yet, even this late. He grabs his phone to call her and asks if she is still studying at a friend's place. But someone else answers, telling him to go to the dance hall because something has happened to her. Zhang Zi runs as fast as he can. It is the most luxurious dance hall. He is nervous. He thinks she might be working there to earn money. The security guys are quickly kicked to the ground by Zhang Zi. He continues running to enter the venue. Inside there are plenty of people, the decor is luxurious, and there is a chubby guy complaining. He seems to be offering a card with 10,000 yuan to a girl, throwing it at her feet. Another girl says that Xiao Feng really doesn't drink and offers to drink with the man in her place. Not kindly, he pushes the girl, saying that his young master wants to drink with Xiao Feng. She is already crying, scared, while he continues insisting that she needs to drink. Zhang Zi arrives just in time, intervening and threatening to beat the guy up. She is surprised to see him there. Another guy further back is threatening him in return. It seems that the chubby guy is someone important. Everyone is sweating nervously at the confrontation. Zhang Zi picks up the card from the ground. The chubby guy says it's good when someone just obeys. Asking if the guy thinks he can buy his sister with just a card, Zhang Zi throws it at him. The card would have hit the man's face directly if a charming guy hadn't caught it. The speed surprises the dark-haired man, and the chubby guy orders them to grab him. Two big men charge at him, jumping to hit. But before anything happens, a delicate jump lands on the ground, and a voice commands them to stop. A beautiful girl asks if they want to disrespect her club by fighting there. She recognizes the old chubby guy, saying that he won't get what he wants today. The bald, portly man approaches to complain about what happened there. He was offended when she told him to forget it. Outraged by her words, she says he is very welcome, but if he is rude to the customers, she will kick him out. The other customers in the place shout in support of her, telling the guy to get lost. In response, the chubby man says they are only there because he spent money to be protected from the monsters of the domain. Today he wants to take Xiao Feng with him, but the beautiful girl doesn't waste any time. She jumps to kick his shiny bald head, but before she can, another blonde guy uses his power and sends her flying backward with a frightened scream. Laughing, the chubby man says the guy is worth his entire reputation. He has S-level power. He orders the guys in glasses to grab the girl to keep him company. Poor Xiao Feng is trembling all over. One of them even reaches out to grab her. But before he can touch her, her brother knees him in the face, cursing the man. Zhang is protecting her. The other blonde guy is amazed by what he did. Soon they recognize that Zhang Zi is also an adventurer from the demon domain. The woman who had been thrown asks Zhang Zi what his level is, having been so fast. Zhang Zi brags a little, and the blonde guy decides to introduce himself. He is a third-year student. Zhang Zi introduces himself back, stating his name and the school he attends for high school. Incredibly, we find out they study in the same year. The little blonde guy quickly says it's quite a stroke of luck and asks for a combat match. Zhang Zi doesn't waste time and immediately declines, leaving the blonde guy indignant. Something catches his attention, and he turns around just in time to break a glass bottle. The other guy was testing his speed. Without his permission, Zhang Zi and his sister cannot leave there. The woman advises Zhang Zi to be careful because the guy is powerful. He tells Xiao Feng to step back because after he finishes here, they will go home. The blonde boy says he would like to be surprised by him in this fight. Then he charges at him with an abnormal speed, ready to punch the other. Xiao Feng and the beautiful girl are quite worried. They also saw how strong he is. Zhang Zi dodges just in time to avoid being hit. He may not be as strong, but he is faster. A punch lands on the man, but he mocks Zhang Zi, saying he is still stronger. But before he realizes it, Zhang Zi has moved behind him, leaving the blonde guy lost. Thus, Zhang Zi manages to land a few punches on him. He has many agility points. The chubby bald man is somewhat startled. He didn't expect to find someone so strong. Chen Feng is hit with an even stronger punch in the back, screaming in pain. That girl who tried to help Xiao Feng praises her brother, saying he didn't seem as strong as he is. Zhang Zi steps back for a moment from the blonde guy, who is holding one of his sore arms. Since he can no longer lift his arm, Zhang Zi asks if he still wants to fight. The bald, portly man calls Chen Feng to leave and come back another day to finish this. He says he will find Zhang Zi again in 3 months at the martial arts school. Provoking, Zhang Zi says he also wants to go there. Maybe they will be schoolmates. Soon the blonde guy tries to belittle Zhang Zi, talking about his strength and financial condition. But politely, Zhang Zi tells him to mind his own business and wait to meet him at school. Chen Feng leaves with Wu Tianxing, talking about how confident Zhang Zi is. The club crowd is also urging them to leave, agitated by the situation. Zhang Zi calls his sister to go home. It's getting very late, and she agrees. But the beautiful girl calls them to sit for a bit. She wants to talk to him. As Xiao Feng says she is a very nice person, Zhang Zi ends up agreeing to go. A few minutes later, they are in a luxurious and beautiful room. She offers him a check with a good amount of money for having beaten the man that night. But Zhang Zi has no intention of accepting. He doesn't want easy and free money from her. The girl even deepens her voice to speak now, making it clear that she also has riches with the chubby man. And Chen Feng, who was with him, wanted to cause trouble, so the money is a thank you. After his sister spoke, he accepted. If they have problems with Chen Feng again, they can call him. Then they get up. The woman thanks him once again and sends someone to accompany them. As soon as they left the building, he started scolding Xiao Feng for being there. Even though the salary is very high, he doesn't want her working there at all. All sweet, she praises him, saying it was really nice when he fought earlier. But he didn't pay her any mind, telling her to go home and sleep because she has class in the morning. The next day at school, Zhang Zi is almost entering the classroom when someone shouts calling him. The chubby kid from school is recounting how he almost got kidnapped the day before. He says he almost kicked the bucket if it weren't for Rakshaza, our protagonist. He feels so grateful that he wants to become his apprentice. Little does he know it's Zhang Zi. In the same moment, another classmate appears to talk to him. The handsome guy wants to know if it was Zhang Zi who cleaned the martial arts hall the day before. Zhang Zi gets a bit nervous thinking he might have seen how much stronger he is. The guy asks exactly who hit the attack machine, and Zhang Zi says he didn't see. He made an excuse and left, narrowly avoiding the guy discovering it was him. Now he will be discreet. Still with that on his mind, the dark-haired guy wonders if it's him, but his friend says Zhang Zi isn't that strong. Later at home, the newspaper woman is talking about a dangerous man who escaped to their city. Zhang Zi warns his sister that he is going to the demon realm and asks her to stay home. The third layer of the demon realm is much more beautiful than the others. Even though he caught the big frog, he lost other summons in the process. He is going to fight a goblin to see what it's like, then he will go after the types of goblins and catch them. Coming out of his thoughts, someone nearby asks for help. 3 boys are facing 2 goblins on a road. One of the little green ones jumps on the guy with the shield, breaking it. He is very strong. The other goblin further back throws some rocks that look like precious stones at them too. Zhang Zi watches everything from a distance. Realizing how strong the little green ones are, he decides to summon the sky-swallowing frog and tells it to deal with the little ones. The frog takes a deep breath and unleashes a very strong fire blast hitting the goblins. A lava turtle is also summoned, but the goblin blocks the attack it made. Zhang Zi is caught off guard by this. The other goblin hits the lava turtle with several rocks, taking away a lot of its health. Unable to resist, his lava turtle is defeated and falls to the ground lifeless. Zhang Zi tells the frog to attack the shooter goblin now. He is already with his bow and arrow. Once again, the beloved giant frog shoots its fire, dealing incredibly high damage. But the pesky goblin is so strong that he is still alive, with just a sliver of health left. Zhang Zi summons the elite shadow wolf in 2 seconds to finish the job. To both Zhang Zi's and the other goblin's surprise, the stone shooter runs away. Zhang Zi wonders how he will fight them and still have to chase after the goblins. A level 3 rabbit copy is summoned, and it shoots like an arrow. Now that there is only 1 goblin left, Zhang Zi still asks if he wants to fight more. As the creature takes a long time to respond, he sends the wolf and the frog to attack right away. The little green one fell to the ground. It took only 10 minutes to finish him off. Zhang Zi summoned his new treasure to see what abilities the goblin has. Surprisingly, what he lacks in size, he makes up for in strength. He notices that his rabbit still hasn't returned, and quite a bit of time has passed, until a message appears for him saying that the rabbit is gone, and he can't believe it. Suddenly, he hears a very loud noise as if a crowd is running, and it is indeed a crowd of little goblins full of rage running. Zhang Zi panics a bit when he sees that the stone shooter called all his friends. Even if he used all his summons, he wouldn't defeat all of them. Zhang Zi starts running. He is heading to the teleportation center of the lair. The herd of goblins suddenly stops. They know they shouldn't get too close. The people there are curious to know what Zhang Zi did. The goblins give up and leave angrily for not having caught him. Zhang Zi is making a plan. The best way to defeat the creatures is to not let them escape. Suddenly, he remembers something. How could he forget something so important? Now Zhang Zi is spying on 2 goblins from the top of a big tree. He summons some creatures, sending them after the goblins to fight hand to hand. The sky-swallowing frog set fire while the shadow wolf was attacking. The lava turtle also gave them a good headbutt. One of the goblins is gone, and the other is practically surrounded. The shadow wolf was ready to attack with one last strike when the goblin fled. Zhang Zi is quick to summon the venomous spider, which shoots a web at him and traps him. Zhang Zi mocks the poor goblin a bit for not being able to run or seek help. A few minutes later, he lets out a very excited wow. He found that the long-range damage of his new summoned goblin is very good. Determined, he wants to attack the other goblins with his mini army of summons. While chaos ensues all around, Zhang Zi is assessing ways to fight. Apparently, the spider's web is very effective at trapping the little ones. He will use more. He ended up losing the last lava turtle he had in his inventory. But the team is much stronger with 7 goblins, a spider, and 2 layer bosses. Now he can go after the boss of the third layer and catch him too. Zhang Zi arrived at the place where he will find and fight the boss of that layer. The Goblin King is surrounded by many goblins, so it will be more difficult. A man further away is offering to create monsters for others to fight. Since there is no supervision, it becomes very easy to make money that way. Zhang Zi turned his back and prepared to leave when the man called him. The man is overly friendly when he invites him to join the team. Zhang Zi declines the offer. There are too many people, and he prefers to do this only with his summons. These people also think he won't be able to do it, but he is going for the boss. The tent where the layer boss is located is surrounded by goblins, and there aren't many people. He summons his treasures to attack and draws his bow to shoot arrows from afar. While the summons fight the goblins, Zhang Zi runs to enter the tent. Taking a quick look at his map, the Goblin King must be inside. Hearing several cries for help, Zhang Zi realizes that other people are already fighting him. The tent door opens, and he sees the crowd desperately trying to escape from the goblins and the king. The group of adventurers is completely surrounded with nowhere to run. Zhang Zi recognizes the group from before. He looks for the guy in the purple outfit, but can't find him. More attacks are directed at the people. The goblins show no mercy in their beating. It continues until no adventurer is left alive, only their colorful orbs on the ground. Zhang Zi understood. The guy in the purple outfit brings people there to be defeated and take their loot and weapons. He crouches down and picks some up in his hand. All of them cost the lives of those newbies. When he was about to grab another sharp knife, he accidentally hits the jar that was on the ground. The Goblin King noticed his presence and shot at him. He is ready to attack once again. Just calling Zhang Zi an intruder is enough for the little ones to charge at him. His copies were quickly summoned in time to fight those goblins for him. The fight among the little ones was fierce. Zhang Zi makes a plan. His goblins hold the others while he attacks the Goblin King. He jumps with the venomous spider, he with the bow and arrow, and she throwing her web. Two more goblins are summoned with the order to go fight hand-to-hand with the big one. The Goblin King roars, saying they are just little ants, and unleashes an attack with his power. The copies of the little ones take very high damage. Zhang Zi was very scared by this. He prepares to shoot arrows and commands all the others to attack together, and from a distance. The sky-swallowing frog opens its mouth and breathes fire while the other goblins throw stones. Things got tense when the Goblin King blocked the frog's attack and most of the stones. This left Zhang Zi a bit terrified. It will be harder than he thought to defeat him. The other goblins began to attack Zhang Zi and the sky-swallowing frog. Anxiety and fear are in Zhang Zi's eyes. He is not sure if he should continue. Then someone picks up that different knife from the ground and stabs Zhang Zi in the back. He quickly turns around and sees the blonde guy in the purple outfit standing there with the knife in hand. The unfortunate one's name is Death's Kiss, and Zhang Zi didn't even see him coming before. The man's ability is stealth. He can become invisible if he doesn't attack or is not attacked. Zhang Zi realized that he uses this to trick the newcomers every time. The man is irritated because Zhang Zi interrupted him from collecting those weapons and orbs. The situation is terrible for him, with the sneaky guy behind and the Goblin King in front. At that moment, one of his sword-wielding goblins was defeated by the Goblin King. Zhang Zi's life is almost at its end, but he doesn't want to flee. He needs to think about what to do. So he summons the venomous spider, which immediately shoots a web at the blonde guy. The guy asks if he thinks he can escape like that, still having to deal with the boss. Zhang Zi mocks him. He isn't going to flee, just waiting to grab his things. Irritated, the Goblin King stands up, and Zhang Zi retrieves all his summons. The other one calls him crazy, but Zhang Zi is already running and laughing. Now the boss will attack the guy trapped in the web. The Goblin King is already raising his arms, ready to attack when he realizes he has been tricked. Before it's too late, the blonde uses his ability to become invisible. Stopping immediately, the big goblin is left confused, trying to understand what happened. Zhang Zi returned to the tent, and his return left the guy afraid of what he might do. He already expected the adventurer to become invisible, so he came back to lend a hand. An arrow hits the chest of the man trapped in the spider web, and now he is visible. The layer boss noticed too, and his eyes gleamed with a thirst to finish him off. Several blade strikes are dealt to the poor guy. He could only groan in pain. He still tries to resist and looks at Zhang Zi with anger, threatening to take his life. Zhang Zi is playing with him, saying it's the guy's turn to face the boss. Another arrow is shot from Zhang Zi's bow and lands in the man's chest, and with a firm and painful final blow, the Goblin King puts an end to him. Zhang Zi says something wise. You reap what you sow, and the man reaped what he planted. Now it's his turn, and his team summons to fight again. Now there is only him, the Goblin King, his frog, the Shadow Wolf, and the dwarves around. The man in the purple outfit had many orbs of demonic souls. He found a really cool glove that increases his power and damage. Zhang Zi decides to test it on the worst thing, The arrow hits the Goblin King and fills him with rage. Zhang Zi even trembles when he realizes that he is now the monster's target. Irritated again, the Goblin King swings his sword, hitting several goblins at once. It is utterly terrifying to see how absurdly strong he is. Zhang Zi needs to do something. For the first time, the boss tries to attack him directly, cursing once again. Zhang Zi commands the venomous spider to launch webs at the big goblin. It didn't work out well because he cut her down immediately, but it was worth a try. Zhang Zi decides to summon the rest of his team. They all spread out and then attacked everyone, the Goblin King of the third layer at the same time. A bit of confidence appeared in Zhang Zi. This should hurt the monster a little. It really worked. The sky-devouring frog keeps breathing fire, and the goblin's life is decreasing more and more. Zhang Zi commands his summons to attack the boss again with force. The green one has fire in his eyes and screams as he is finally defeated. His life reached 0, and he fell to the ground, his body finally turning blue. Zhang Zi was so excited about this. This fight took a while. The Goblin King's throne begins to crack, and a beautiful, shining thing appears. After breaking the last pieces of stone, a beautiful portal is revealed, leading to the fourth layer. Zhang Zi grabbed one of the orbs and saw that it is of a very high rank, just as he expected. As he did with all the previous ones, he also summoned the Goblin King right after. He appeared strong, big, and very green, of course, just like before, an exact copy. Zhang Zi gave him a good flick on the head, saying it was very difficult to defeat him, but from now on he is his, finally. Even though the Shadow Wolf is the weakest among the 3 bosses, he will level up. He looks at the panel of his summons, deciding which ones to choose to fill. He even thinks about defeating a Goblin King again when he reappears in the area. He was entering the fourth layer when someone shouted at him to stay still. Several people are approaching with weapons, telling Zhang Zi to surrender. When he turns around, he finds himself surrounded by armed men, swords, and shields. A guy with a curly hairstyle asks where the other adventurers are. Zhang Zi explains that he hasn't even formed a team. They have the wrong person. The guy tells him to shut up and says they received a report that someone was deceiving the newcomers there. These people are the inspection team from the Demon Domain Management Department. The blonde says he can't even try to escape through the fourth layer, or she will shoot. Zhang Zi thinks for a moment and realizes that if he resists, he won't be able to win against them. With nothing else to do, he raises his arms, accepting to be taken and surrendering. But a young man appears just in time, saying that Zhang Zi is not a criminal. He recognized the guide who fought with him when he got the sky-swallowing frog. Everyone greets him as the boss, but he only greets Zhang Zi. Curiosity strikes, and Zhang Zi asks when he became the boss since he was an inspector. Proudly he says it's all thanks to him, Rakshasa. He thanks Zhang Zi because it was because of that day that he ended up being promoted. The girl says that when they arrived, he was the only one there. If it weren't for him, who would it be? The boss says that Rakshasa is his friend, and the reported guy was called Kiss of Death. He asks Zhang Zi if he has seen the guy and the newcomers around. Unfortunately, they are late. They have all kicked the bucket. The former inspector shouts in surprise, saying he needs to catch that sneaky Kiss of Death. But Zhang Zi says he will never find him since he defeated him himself. People start talking about how the blonde had a high level and was too strong, not believing it. Zhang Zi decides to show them his list of defeated foes to prove he defeated the guy. They are genuinely surprised that he defeated the guy and the Goblin King as a newcomer. Everyone starts talking about him being a prodigy newcomer in the demon domain. The boss sincerely thanks Zhang Zi for eliminating a threat to the people. Then, as if wanting to end the conversation, he turns and says he will go to the fourth layer. But before he crosses, the boss calls him and gives a warning about what is to come. The Kiss of Death was part of a super powerful organization that is hard to find. He invites Rakshasa to join a department to avoid being caught by them. Zhang Zi stops and thinks for a few seconds about what he just heard. Then he turns and says it's all right. He can take care of himself. The boss continues to watch even after Zhang Zi leaves, proud of the young man. The fourth layer of the demon domain is different from all the others. There is a shining barrier around the altar. It seems like Zhang Zi is in the desert. Zhang Zi sees that people are screaming because they are trapped and cannot explore the fourth layer. Someone shouts that a death zone has appeared in the fourth layer. Zhang Zi remembers that he has an invitation to this death zone in his backpack. One of the guys on the other side of the barrier says they need to keep the domain in balance. A death zone has indeed appeared, but many people don't know what it is. It is as if it exists in another dimension. Almost no one knows the death zone. All they know is that it appears from time to time in a layer of the domain. With the danger of the death zone, the difficulty of the fourth layer increased to 10. The man continues saying that this is for their own good, even if they don't believe it. A guy is insisting a lot to pass, but if he does, he will face the consequences. The guards allowed the shouting man to pass through the barrier. Confidently, he said he wasn't scared by all that talk of danger. The hooded man asks if anyone else wants to pass through the altar barrier, but before anyone could decide whether they wanted to pass or not, a scream echoed from afar. That guy rushed back to the altar as fast as he could. He said that the monsters have undergone some kind of mutation and are much scarier now. There really is a death zone. The guard asked if everyone believes him now. People are ordered to leave the 4th layer and return a few days later. Zhang Zi had some people complaining about this, but there is nothing they can do. He also decides to go back. Luckily, the next day is Saturday, and he has no classes. Meanwhile, in the death zone, a terrifying monster is roaring at someone. The guy is ready to attack, running in his direction, drawing his sword. With some super powerful strikes, a monster is defeated and falls backward. The giant zombie is gone, leaving a lump of demon soul in its place on the ground. The young man picks up the ball, and when he looks at it, he sees there is a message. He received the message. The kiss of death has kicked the bucket. Its layer is very deep, and in front of him, there is already another gigantic monster that is frightening. At Zhang Zi's house, they finish having breakfast, and he tells his sister to stay home because he is going out. A guy arranged a job for Zhang Zi to do. His little sister was very worried, but he reassured her and left the house. He followed the address on his phone so he wouldn't get lost on the way. The girl was already there, and when she saw him, she waved and called his name. She invited him to come in, saying that her cousin is inside waiting. They are in a storage room with boxes everywhere on many shelves. The girl introduces Zhang Zi to her cousin, and the cousin to Zhang Zi. The muscular guy quickly said he heard that Zhang Zi needed money. Zhang Zi really wants a job, but he still doesn't know what they do there. Then the guy invites him to go to the occupied zone. Zhang Zi doesn't know what that is. Many cities were destroyed by the monsters of the Dominion, and many treasures were left behind. They are a team with one more blonde, a bald guy, and a chubby guy who doesn't care about danger. The job is legal, and many rich people want to collect the treasures from that zone. The chubby guy, who also seems to be a good person, approaches and invites him to join. 300,000 is the amount each one will get on this work trip. It's a lot of money. Zhang Zi wants to accept because with that amount he will pay for his sister's sick kidney treatment. After he accepted, the cousin warns that since the mission is dangerous, the money changed to 3 billion. Everyone was happy. That means he will receive 600,000, not 300,000. Even though he is happy about this, he is also worried and asks what they will be looking for there. It's a scroll with things drawn in very ancient and precious writings. With everything explained, it was agreed that they would meet at 4 in the morning. The next day, very early, Zhang Zi is asking why his sister woke up so early. He found the apples on the table strange, and she said that the new neighbor gave them. This guy is really generous since fruits and vegetables have been very expensive lately. He quickly turned to grab his bag and leave, telling her not to accept things from strangers. Since the mission is dangerous, Zhang Zi used all the demon souls to become stronger. His abilities improved a lot, so he should be able to fight a monster. The meeting place is at a wall in an abandoned area. The whole group of guys was already there waiting for Zhang Zi to arrive. A plucked chicken is offered to Zhang Zi for emergencies. Monsters like to eat meat. If Zhang Zi gets caught, he throws the chicken to the monster. He keeps the chicken in his bag. The other guys are already climbing the wall. Zhang Zi also starts to go up through the door. He reaches the top quickly. On the other side of the wall, the city is in chaos, monsters everywhere, and everything is destroyed. The cousin tells him to stay close and follow his orders so nothing bad will happen. Without further ado, the group starts to descend the wall. The city is deserted. It's just them walking through the dirty, abandoned place. The bald guy tells the redhead to find a way to make Zhang Zi come back so they don't have to carry a burden. Drops of water started to fall from the sky. The rain is coming down and soaking them. They arrived at the place, but Zhang Zi realizes there is no entrance to pass through. However, the blonde was already poking around among the stones, and he found a space. The boss tells Lo Ba to clear a way for them to pass through there. He prepares and throws a punch so strong that the stones turn into flying pieces. The boss says he is considered the strongest among them with about 12 points of strength. Zhang Zi thinks that 12 points are less than he has, so his strength must be even greater. The guys are entering carefully. Monsters like the dark and may attack. They find a door and someone starts to open it. Inside is the museum's art gallery. They split up to search. The cousin stops in front of a worn-out artwork, but it's not the one he is looking for. Zhang Zi asks if that is the artwork he is comparing with his phone. Yes, it is her. He found what they were looking for. Without wasting any time, the guy carefully picks up the work, folds it, and puts it in his bag. The blonde guy says that as soon as he gets the money, he will go to a club to have some fun. Zhang Zi notices that one guy from the team is missing. They wonder where he went. Cousin even tries to contact him through the communicator, but he doesn't get a response back. They can't waste time there. It's dangerous, so he tells them to leave a message for the other. The guys start to walk away, but from above, red eyes are watching. Zhang Zi noticed the monster before the others. He jumps to the ground with a loud thud. Everyone sees the monster now. Apparently, it is a level 2 den monster, with 4 eyes, sharp teeth, and a huge belly. Lo Ba jumps at it, telling the others to leave the museum quickly. He has a knife in his hand, but when he strikes the creature, it shatters into pieces. The greenish skin is very thick, and the horrendous monster quickly turns to attack. Lo Ba crosses his arms to protect himself from the brutal punch he received from the demon. His arms are hurt, but of course that alone wouldn't take him down. Zhang Zi is terrified by the monster's ugliness and all the strength it possesses. Then he remembers earlier, grabs the chicken from his bag, and throws it towards the creature. Cousin tells everyone to run while the animal devours the plucked chicken. Greedy as it is, it devoured the chicken in one bite and is already after the group again. Cousin is in front, almost out to save his skin, with Zhang Zi right behind. But Lo Ba and the blonde guy are almost being devoured further back. The one with longer hair lets go of the bald guy, saying he will fight the monster. While the blonde is shooting fire, Lo Ba is already giving a speech about kicking the bucket with his buddies. When the monster opens its mouth, he throws a grenade inside, and the blonde sets it on fire. The monster is ready to receive the bomb with its mouth open, and a huge explosion occurs. Zhang Zi becomes worried about the two guys and stops running. Cousin grabs his arm, saying it's not the time to be sentimental, but he is crying. They run as fast as they can. They will be safe as soon as they leave the cave. Cousin is the first to exit, and as soon as he puts his face out of the hole, he is startled. Another level 2 den monster was waiting for them to come out for a snack. And not just it, many other monsters of the same kind surrounded the two guys. Cousin throws his bag to Zhang Zi, telling him to take care of his cousin too. But Zhang Zi protests, saying that if they are going out, they will go out together. Cousin was already positioned, ready to attack a beast with a double-barreled weapon. Then he starts, shooting several rounds into the fat, round belly of the green creature. Before he gets crushed, he jumps back, dodging the blow. He grabs a grenade, pulls the pin, and throws it at the monster, causing a big explosion. But it wasn't enough. Before he realizes it, the monster appears in the smoke behind him. Zhang Zi even tried to shout a warning, but the creature was faster and grabbed Cousin. The monster threw him forcefully through the air. Cousin slammed his back against a wall. It was so strong that the stone broke behind him, and the monster was running towards him again. Zhang Zi watched everything from a distance and wasn't going to let the guy leave the ground without doing anything. He used his agility to be faster than the monster and ran to get between the two. He was furious with rage, with all the strength he had gained that morning. Zhang Zi delivered a powerful punch to the monster's hand, which sent him flying back. Cousin was amazed by his strength and agility. Zhang Zi could win this fight, he thought. Even though he managed to hit the creature, his arm hurt a little. It's better to avoid direct confrontation. Zhang Zi worries that if everyone tries to attack together, they won't be able to escape. But the monsters of this species do not attack the prey of other monsters, Cousin explains. The den monsters begin to scream and roar even louder. Zhang Zi felt relieved to know he wouldn't have to face all of them at once. The monster is preparing to attack Zhang Zi again. He may be strong, but he is not fast. He closes his fists and slams the ground with all his might. But Zhang Zi is quicker and jumps away. Then he delivers a big punch to the monster's ugly face, cursing at it. The plan worked. The monster can't open its eye. It got very hurt. This time, even more furious, he stretches out his hand to grab Zhang Zi, who is on the ground again. The monster can't reach him and falls to the ground defeated. He was happy that the punch worked. Now there are 3 monsters left for him to defeat, and Zhang Zi will take care of each one of them. Zhang Zi takes a deep breath, preparing to face the creatures head-on. But before he can move, someone jumps onto his shoulder, startling him. A beautiful girl with red hair and a purple outfit jumped onto his shoulder to gain momentum. She struck one of the monsters with precise and cruel blows, finishing it off. Another monster turns to face her, but it is no match for her. She is much stronger, but several blows are unleashed, and the monster screams as its life comes to an end. Zhang Zi was completely impressed by the woman's strength and how she did that. After defeating the monsters in style, she spoke to Zhang Zi. The sound of a horn is heard as a yellow car appears at the scene to pick them up. The woman tells him to grab his friend and nephew and get in the car quickly to escape. Zhang Zi helped the boss walk to the car because he was very hurt. Another group of monsters from the den was approaching, and the redhead also ran to the car. Without wasting another second, the car started speeding away. The monsters continued to chase them relentlessly, hungry for flesh. Zhang Zi looks back through the car's rearview mirror. A monster is very close to them. The car quickly swerves, and the creature crashes face first into the ground. If that many monsters reach the wall, they might try to attack the city of Tianfeng. The girl tells him to stop looking and help by doing something. She tells him to work and not make her regret saving them. When Zhang Zi opens the bag she gave him, he sees a bunch of grenades. They are to throw on the road to push the monsters back with the explosions. They fire many of them. Explosions going off in all directions, and the monsters scream. They stop the car for a moment to throw the bombs at the monsters. The two still have grenades. They pull the winch and launch one into the chaos. Another big explosion happens, giving them more time to escape. Zhang Zi is tired. He doesn't know who she is or why she has so many bombs. The guy driving the car asks what they did to attract so many monsters. The cousin with an innocent face says they weren't doing anything special, thanking her for the help. They fell silent until the woman turned to Zhang Zi and praised his courage. He tells her his name, and she asks him to listen carefully to what she says. She tells him not to go back to that place looking for things again unless he wants to become a powerful adventurer. Even though he doesn't know who she is, he doesn't think she has bad intentions. The guy warns that the wall is just ahead because they will drop them off there. Zhang Zi asks his cousin who they are, but he says he doesn't know, only that they are powerful. The backpack was torn in the chaos, and they lost the precious painting. After all this chaos of having left some partners behind, at least they are alive. A few moments later, it was already late afternoon, and the sun began to set in an orange sky. Zhang Zi had never experienced a day as dangerous and hectic as this. If the woman hadn't shown up, they would surely have been done for. But as sad as it is that the painting was lost, he is distracted looking at his phone. As he knows the stairs, he accidentally bumps into a big, strong man. He froze instantly. The body seemed very familiar, and for a moment he thought, could it be Tai Gang? He mysteriously disappeared, and now he would be there. Zhang Zi frowned. If it's true, he wants to see where the guy goes. Zhang Zi began to act like a spy, watching from a distance and following the man. They arrived at a deserted alley. Zhang Zi was hiding behind the wall. The man in the cap and mask takes out his phone and starts talking to the boss. Could he be behind all the commotion after the wall? Suddenly, two men appeared in the alley as well, an older one and a bald man, and he asks Tai Gang if he brought what he wanted. The guy takes out his bag and opens it, showing the old man what he wanted. Pretending to be surprised, the old man did not expect him to betray the brothers he had worked with for over 10 years to keep all the money for himself. Zhang Zi was right. That was indeed Tai Gang from Lu Kai's team. Soon the bald young man approached him, opening a briefcase with the 3 million inside. The chubby man eagerly grabbed all the money without hesitation. But the old man had other plans. He froze when he felt the cold metal pressed against his head. He became irritated, asking what was happening. This was wrong. He didn't even have time to say much because the trigger was pulled, and he fell to the ground lifeless. They took the money back. The old man was even worse than the traitor. They turned their backs on the body, saying they hated strange people like him. Zhang Zi was very scared. With a single shot, the man's life was taken. Before trying to find out who the boss was, Li Zhangzi needed to get out of that place first. He ran back home. Xiao Feng was already at the door waiting for her brother. Zhang Zi said it had been a long day and told him to quickly come inside. But then the neighbor stepped out, and his sister called the guy uncle. She said he was the one who gave the apples, and the guy greeted Zhang Zi. He recognized the boss's bodyguard by the scar he had seen earlier but pretended not to. Zhang Zi thanked him for the apples. The guy said that's what neighbors do. They look out for each other. His sister quickly invited the guy to dinner at their house, but he declined. Zhang Zi said he was very tired and wanted to rest. They could schedule dinner for another day. Xiao Feng was dragged by him. She still called the uncle for dinner later, and the door was slammed shut. The older man seemed to suspect something but said nothing more. His sister said she would start making dinner. He was lost in his own thoughts. Zhang Zi warned that he was going out again. She asked why since he had just arrived. He was already at the window, telling her to stay home and saying he had something to resolve. With ease, he jumped from his balcony to the neighbors, thinking if it was indeed that guy, they could be in danger. There was a white liquid spread on the floor of the man's balcony, meant to catch anyone who passed by. The furniture in the apartment was very simple, but an ordinary person wouldn't leave ashes on the floor. Zhang Zi took a look under the bed and found a box. He opened it curiously and found the man's Demon Mastery Specialist document. Zhang Zi was wondering what he was planning to do when he heard a noise in the house. The bald man with the scar burst through the door, ordering Zhang Zi to get out of his room immediately. The young man was quicker and hid under the bed, praying that the man wouldn't see him. The man began to enter the room with slow steps. Zhang Zi was trembling with fear. He told the boy to stop hiding. He knew he was still in the room, and he had a deadly toy in his hands. Zhang Zi was terrified. Of course, the man would find him there. He was a specialist. His watch was counting down the last seconds until 8 o'clock to beep. Zhang Zi was startled. He had completely forgotten the time. And the man smiled, a macabre smile, pointing the toy at Zhang Zi and fired. The bullet flew in his direction, but before it was too late, a blue light engulfed everything. The man kicked the bed, realizing he hadn't managed to exterminate the boy. He picked up the bullet from the floor, saying he would wait for Zhang Zi there until he returned from the demon domain. Zhang Zi was relieved to have been teleported in time. he knew the man would be waiting. He had only 12 hours until his resistance ran out, and he was forcibly sent out. He needed to increase his strength immediately, otherwise he would be torn to pieces in the other man's hands. Zhang Zi went straight to the 4th layer of the domain, but the barrier was still at the altar. The death zone had not yet disappeared. How would he defeat monsters and become stronger? Some guys were talking about how the zone was about to appear and that they should wait a little longer. The zone only disappears when the boss is defeated, and only specialists or invited people can access it. For the luck of our protagonist, he had exactly what he needed, the invitation. Zhang Zi clicked on the invite. A portal opened in front of him for him to enter or not. He had already passed through the 3 layers and defeated their bosses. There was nothing left for him in them. And in the real world, there was a very strong specialist waiting to finish him off. Zhang Zi has little choice but to use the invitation to enter there. The surrounding environment turns red. A light begins to emerge from the ground, and he is teleported. The death zone definitely matches its name. Few people were already there when Zhang Zi appeared a little further back. He doesn't understand why there are people from other countries in the zone. People from various different places are gathered and talking with serious faces. Then a hand touches his shoulder calling his domain name, and when he turns around, Liu Yuying greets Zhang Zi, happy to finally have found him. She had been looking for him to thank him after he saved her life that day. A tall guy with white hair who was next to her asks if he was the one who attracted the wolf. The girl explains that it was he who saved her and defeated the shadow wolf. Liu Yuying introduces Zhang Zi to her uncle, and her younger brother is right behind her. They greet each other. Her uncle says he is brave for having gone to the death zone alone. In that place, it's not just the monsters that are more terrifying, but the foreigners as well. People are often fighting each other over monsters and rare items. The adventurers invite Zhang Zi to stay with them since the region is quite dangerous. Zhang Zi remembers the strength levels of the demon domain. The uncle is excellent. With that ranking, his strength is not low at all. Zhang Zi decides to join the team. The guy seemed to like the young man, even saying he liked his personality. Liu Yuying felt relieved. This way she can repay the favor he did by helping her before. Her uncle begins to explain a bit about each one so they can work better as a team. The old man's talent and skill is repulsion. He repels any attack with full force. As for the girl's younger brother, he can create an illusion that can confuse the enemy. The only downside is that these illusions cannot fight for him. Zhang Zi knows Liu Yuying's talent. Now she wants to know what his is. Sooner or later they will find out, so he decides to show them right then. And Zhang Zi begins to summon one of his goblins. It appears green and short on the ground. The group found his ability super cool, but the little one looked confused. He won't fight. She asks if these summoned monsters obey his orders, and he confirms. Liu Yuying's uncle tells them to stop with the introductions and focus on the boss. The death zone is like a tower that is not part of the domain, much better but much more dangerous. It is also Liu Yuying and her brother's first time in the zone. The uncle has been there before. They were advancing near some buildings when they saw an explosion. Zhang Zi tensed immediately. People are fighting with monsters or other people. The uncle says that the villagers have been hit by something, and that's why they are like this. They should stay away from them. Everyone must stay together and not get lost. The village is like a maze, and they are running. All the houses look the same. In the middle of the path, Zhang Zi stops. He comments that it seems like they have been there before. Liu Yuying says that's exactly it. But then a black smoke made them alert. Oh no, they found the team. The contaminated and mutated villagers are in packs and charge at them, attacking. As a leader, the uncle tells them not to panic and forms a formation to fight. They position themselves as the monsters get even closer and begin to attack. Zhang Zi summoned 2 of his goblins, one with a shield and the other a stone thrower. He looks at Liu Yuying's brother, who must also be a rookie because he looked like he was about to wet himself from fear. The goblins are fighting. The damage the monsters deal is absurdly strong. A villager who looked like a zombie raises a pointed weapon ready to hit Zhang Zi. Before the monster could get any closer, the uncle attacked it, and the villager was defeated. He looks at Zhang Zi thinking he is as strong as his knees. A terrifying thing appears in the sky and strikes the uncle like a lightning bolt. It is strong and bright, dealing a good amount of damage to the man, paralyzing him. The guy who did this appears. His name is Dr. Mysterious, and it seems they already know each other. He waves his staff, preparing to attack again, and launches a firebolt. The building behind them begins to crack. The uncle cannot move due to the paralysis. A large explosion occurs, raising smoke and making a huge noise. Liu Yuying starts to walk closer to her uncle when something comes in her direction. She manages to dodge the arrow using her sword. From atop another building, there she is, the night elf who is also an archer. Meanwhile, Zhang Zi continues sending his goblins to attack, when one of them is thrown far away in a single blow by a guy with an axe. He is the terrible Harrison, big, muscular, and incredibly strong, thought Zhang Zi. We see that this is not the first encounter between the teams, they have fought before. The mysterious doctor says he let him leave alive last time and didn't expect him to return. He continues, the old guy brought 3 rookies to the zone. How could they miss this opportunity? The mysterious doctor is once again attacking the team that Zhang Zi is on. He fires another bolt at the 6th uncle. The paralysis effect returns. He won't hold up like this, but he needs to hold on. There are 2 members of his family there, so he grabs a green potion, and upon using it, he regains his strength, ready to fight the mysterious doctor. The masked man and the other man laugh at him because he got out of paralysis, but there will be consequences. Liu Yuying is worried about her uncle. He is trying very hard. The man shouts to get her attention. He tells her to leave and not to worry about him. Harrison raised his axe to attack. The 6th uncle repelled the attack back. While the old man faced the other team, the redhead called the other 2 to leave. But the attentive elf saw everything and shot 3 arrows in their direction. The trio quickly dodges by changing direction, but the arrows are chasing them. Liu Yuying explains that it is the night elf's ability. They need to be careful. She pulls out her sword, but the arrows curve around the weapon and hit the girl's heart. Liu Yuying pulls the arrow from her skin, dropping the weapon on the ground. Fortunately for them, the target is her uncle, and they won't be too bothered for now. She tells them to run and hide before going to check on her uncle. Meanwhile, the mysterious doctor continues launching his powerful bolt. Zhang Zi calls her attention to ask a question, whether each adventurer fights the monsters from their own country. Since her uncle must have gotten into a fight with those people, he lost the goblins he had summoned. She explains that the demon domains of each country are separate, but the death zone is connected. Her brother is lamenting for insisting on coming. She calls him a cowardly weakling. Zhang Zi tries to encourage him, saying that his talent is good, but he keeps complaining. Liu Yuying interrupts their conversation to ask if they heard something. The 3 turn to look in the direction of the noise and see something terrifying. A huge boss monster with a frighteningly large mouth in its belly. This is the terrifying Butcher of Death. Everyone was quite scared to have encountered such a strong monster so soon. She asks what they will do now, frightened, and Zhang Zi says that the boss hasn't seen them yet. Her poor brother was collapsing from shaking so much, starting to panic. Zhang made a choice. If they don't have the uncle now, they will simply fight together as 3. The brothers are not confident. How could they defeat the Butcher of Death? Zhang Zi says it's better to do something than wait to be defeated. The boy says that if the others arrive, they will finish them off from behind, but that's where his power will be useful. He is so slow and cowardly that he still hasn't understood how they will do this. Back to Harrison, the mysterious doctor, and the night elf. They are finishing off a few more monsters trying to get them. The rewards they have obtained seem to be very good. They comment on it. The elf says that if she had known, she would have taken revenge one last time today. The mysterious doctor says that even though the 6th uncle teleported, he would leave. Life was too short. The cruel elf says he might have even gone near a boss. Then a noise is heard, and the 3 look back in fear. The Butcher of Death appeared to play with them. Harrison says they always take down the bosses easily. This time they will be quick. The elf screams that the equipment that will drop is hers, preparing to start shooting. With a surge, thousands of arrows begin to rain down on the boss, hitting him. The mysterious doctor saw that it had no effect and launched a powerful bolt against the monster. But unfortunately for them, the boss didn't suffer a scratch. The guys think a little more and realize that this might be a skill. From far away, our trio is observing the illusion that Liu Yuying's brother created. They are planning how they will defeat the real boss that is with them. Zhang Zi summons all his leaders from the other layers for this fight. Liu Yuying was impressed with the summons he collected. One of them is the elite shadow wolf that almost took her down in the first layer. Zhang Zi orders the copies to engage the boss. They can spread out since they are in the open. The summons descend, and the boss begins to attack them, leaving almost no time to dodge. The Butcher of Death delivered a blow that grazed the shadow wolf, and even faster, he struck again at the animal's back, sending it flying away. As Zhang Zi expected from a boss in the death zone, his strength is terrifying. The fat monster continues to call them ants. The shadow wolf needs help. Zhang Zi summons the venomous spider to launch its web at the boss. He gets distracted for a second, and Liu Yuying jumps on him to attack. The redhead hits several points, taking away a bit of his health. Zhang Zi commands the sky-swallowing frog to attack from a distance with a jet of fire. As the others were also helping, a bit more damage was dealt. The boss becomes furious, shouting that he wants to eat their flesh. His health is very high, and he knows how to attack enemies directly. The Goblin King is next to confront the Butcher of Death. Both strike each other simultaneously, shouting together. Zhang Zi watches in awe at the boss's bone-crushing agility. While the Goblin King fights in front, the wolf climbs onto the monster's back. He opens his mouth to strike the Butcher of Death, but he is faster. The butcher turns around, attacking the shadow wolf and sending it flying. Poor Jiang Zi, his first boss that accompanied him through all the layers, is gone. Liu Yuying says they can't be sad, otherwise they will all end up leaving too. Her brother also urges him to hurry up and finish this quickly. Jiang Zi becomes determined. He commands the venomous spider to attack with webs, while the other summons should attack the boss of the death zone from a distance. And so they all deal a good amount of damage. Liu Yuying joins the attack to reach maximum damage potential. It was working. The boss's health was decreasing when he suddenly stops. The adventurers prepare as the Butcher of Death simply turns around and runs away. Jiang Zi doesn't know why he did that until he sees the boss going for rotten meat, and he starts eating the meat quickly, recovering his health. Now they are in trouble facing a powerful boss that is also regenerating health. Seeing the boss recovering health by eating meat, the summoner and Yuying panic. Come on, not even a little piece of that ham to offer. Rakshasa orders his summons with ranged attacks to prevent him from healing, and his sky-swallowing frog shoots a fireball at the monster, which seems to have hit him squarely. But the Butcher of Death soon resurfaces, ready to attack the group. To keep him away from the frog, Rakshasa commands his venomous spider to shoot webs at him, causing the monster's feet to become stuck to the ground. With that, Yuying strikes in with light slash, and the Goblin King also approaches to attack him from behind. The swordswoman encourages everyone to attack together, causing the boss to become surrounded and hit multiple times. Seeing him more on the other side than this side, Rakshasa aims with his bow, and hits right in the middle of the monster's forehead, dealing critical damage. The boss lets out a scream of pain. Staggering, he still tries to resist, unwilling to accept defeat. But there's no way. He doesn't have as much luck as 50 Cent. Surprised, Jimeng asks if they defeated the boss, and panels announcing the defeat of the Butcher of Death appear for all the adventurers. The illusionist gets excited to see that they defeated a boss from the Death Zone. However, Rakshasa notices a different bow among the various demon soul orbs. Upon picking it up, he is surprised. It's a bloodthirsty longbow, a rank-S weapon. Jimeng says he is very lucky, as many people spend decades searching for one. Shooting an arrow into the sky, the summoner feels the power of his new bow, and the slight thirst for blood it has. Analyzing the fallen items, he decides to keep the teleportation scroll and share the rest. Yuying tries to say that he doesn't need to, but soon receives a message containing the orbs and healing potions. Rakshasa asks her not to refuse. After all, they defeated the boss together, and the swordswoman accepts the items, still feeling awkward for not thinking she did that much. Suddenly, the group hears someone shouting at them from afar. It is the 3 foreign adventurers who defeated Zhu Feng. Oops, I think the illusion has been over for a while now. Neither of the 2 trios seems very happy to see each other again, especially Harrison, who doesn't even want to talk to Rakshasa and the Liu brothers. Together with Jingling, they charge in, ready to take down these scoundrels. Seeing that only 2 of his beasts are left, the summoner thinks it's better to leave that place. And Zimeng fully agrees, as there was nothing more to do there. However, Yuying refuses to leave. The swordswoman draws her weapon, eager to avenge her uncle's defeat. Yuying seems very eager to fight against the 3 adventurers, unlike her little brother who doesn't think twice before quickly getting out of there. Rakshasa, on the other hand, is unsure whether to leave this hard-headed girl there or to leave as well. Noticing him still standing there, the swordswoman tells him to go, as this is her personal problem. Even so, the summoner isn't too keen on seeing her sprawled out on the ground, and decides to call one of his new acquisitions. Upon seeing what it is, Harrison and Jingling are horrified. It's the Butcher of Death, the recently defeated boss of the Death Zone. The 3 foreigners are confused. The beast was barely defeated, and is already back. That doesn't happen. Not to mention that it isn't attacking the other Tianfeng adventurers, just them. Meanwhile, a tearful Yuying makes vows of revenge for her uncle, which are soon interrupted by a message from him. All this drama just to find out that the old man is very much alive. The swordswoman informs them that Zhu Feng is fine and asked for the 2 to return, and tells them to meet at the altar of the 4th layer, already teleporting away. After that, Rakshasa doesn't even know what to say about this woman anymore. Harrison was going to attack the Butcher of Death, but it vanished before he could hit it. You can smell the smoke coming from this brute's head from here. Returning to the 4th layer, Yuying and Rakshasa reunite with Zhu Feng and Zimeng. The uncle greets them happily, congratulating them on a job well done. With his hand on the summoner's shoulder, he showers him with compliments. At the same time, he calls Jimeng useless, leaving him embarrassed and upset. Zhu Feng moves closer to Rakshasa to have a chat, and suggests that he and his niece date, since she is single and comes from a noble family. Obviously, this makes Yuying extremely embarrassed, but the old man just laughs at her reaction. Oh dear, uncles are all the same, only the address changes. After this embarrassing situation, Rakshasa says he would like to ask Zhu Feng something. Actually, a piece of advice. How to defeat a specialist in demonic domain. A bit confused, the old man asks if he got himself into some trouble, and tries to encourage him to tell him, saying he can help. But Rakshasa just thanks him and says it's something he needs to resolve on his own. Owing a debt is the last thing he would want. Better just absorb some orbs and that's it. Jia warns him not to underestimate a specialist. They are stronger than one might think, and the uncle adds that he will need to be stronger and know the enemy's strengths and weaknesses. Rakshasa doesn't quite understand this last part. Zhu Feng says that just having the attributes at the standard level already makes one a first-order specialist. However, many tend to focus on improving one specific attribute from the start. In other words, two of the same rank can show noticeable differences in their abilities. Seeing that agility is his strong suit, the summoner decides to invest in it to become faster. However, there is one issue. He still doesn't know which attribute Huang Hanfei is proficient in, and he will remain unaware for now, as it's time to return to the real world. The summoner hears Ji Meng informing his uncle and sister that it's almost time to leave. Yuying then informs them that they are leaving the demonic domain first, but not without sending him a friend request beforehand. With that, they all say goodbye and the three Lias leave. Rakshasa lets out a tired sigh and decides to leave as well. However, before that, he grabs his 18 demon soul orbs to absorb them. Thanks to this, his agility becomes even higher. Now it's time to leave the demonic domain and face that bald guy. Returning to Tianfeng, he notices that Huang Hanfei is no longer in the room, but it doesn't take long for him to have an idea of where she might be. Zhang Zi rushes out of the neighboring residence, knowing that his sister is in danger. He quickly opens the door to his house, already calling for her, and finds her sitting on the couch with her neighbor, who is casually peeling an apple. Zhang Feng calls for her brother, clearly frightened by the situation. With all the calm in the world, Huang Hanfei says there's no reason to rush, and invites the young man for a little chat, under free and spontaneous pressure. Nervous, Zhang Zi orders his sister to be released first before they discuss anything, but the bald man refuses, saying she now knows he is a fugitive from the police. The boy then asks what he wants to do with them. Huang Hanfei points the knife at the poor girl, who must be nearly wetting herself from fear, and replies that he wishes to sell her valuable organs on the black market. That's why it makes sense he doesn't want to hurt them. A damaged kidney is worth less money. Suddenly, the conversation is interrupted by knocks on the door, surprising the three of them. With veins bulging, Huang Hanfei questions whether they called the police. Zhang Zi quickly denies it, and the fugitive tells him to see who it is. Well, he didn't lie. He just admitted that he messaged his teacher. Upon opening the door, he finds a delivery person extending a package to him. Confused, Zhang Zi states that he didn't order anything, but the young woman in a beret disagrees. She insists that she is at the right address and even questions if he is messing with her. Peeking out, she asks if the order was made by the two people in the house. However, Zhang Zi simply swats her away and tells her to leave. After closing the door, he could still hear the delivery person knocking and complaining about him. It doesn't take long for her to give up and walk away from the house. Well, she already got the information she wanted, so there's no reason to keep up the disguise. Still holding the girl hostage, Huang Hanfei orders the door to be opened so they can leave. Zhang Zi asks where they will take them, but he is only ordered to be quiet and get in the car. Seeing his sister scared, he tries to comfort her by saying he will protect her. While Huang Hanfei complains about the sibling's slowness, something is thrown in his direction, almost hitting his arm and scaring Zhang Feng even more. Threatening to hurt the girl, the bald man tells the person to show themselves. A somewhat familiar figure appears, saying it's better to do this quickly then. It's the strange delivery person from before. He didn't know she delivered knives to the forehead too. The protagonist thinks she is a delivery person, but the bald man realizes she is a bounty hunter. In fact, one who seems quite eager to claim her prize. After being underestimated, she throws daggers at Huang Hanfei, who obviously uses Zhang Feng as a human shield. Seeing his sister in danger, the young man runs to protect her, blocking one of the daggers with his own hands, and going to the girl to pull her away from the fugitive. It all happened so fast that I don't even know how many seconds it lasted. The hunter is surprised to see her daggers blocked like that. Filled with rage, Zhang Zi yells at her, saying she almost hurt his sister. But the young woman doesn't care. No one told her to stand in front of the bald man. Speaking of the shiny head, he seems ready to pull some trick. His plan wasn't to fight today, but it looks like that's what it will have to be. The hunter charges at him with daggers in hand, ready not to miss this time. Seeing her run, Huang Hanfei assumes her agility is quite high, and uses that to his advantage, casting a mind control spell on her. With her hypnotized, he only confirms what he expected. The hunter's spirit is very low. She will probably remain catatonic forever if no one helps her. Looking at the scene, Zhang Zi realizes that Huang Hanfei specializes in spirit power, and believes he has a great chance to defeat him. With all his speed, the young man rushes towards the bald man, who notices his approach and prepares his gun. But he isn't quick enough to prevent a well-placed punch to his stomach. He still tries to aim his weapon at Zhang Zi. However, he remains slow and this time takes a kick to the face. Fallen and disarmed, Huang Hanfei asks how this kid can be so fast. The lucky thing is that the bald man is an idiot. If he had his gun from the start, he would have won. Going to his brother, Zhang Feng asks if he is okay, and he replies that he is. Seeing the hunter motionless, the girl is confused, and the young man explains that she was hypnotized. Even after almost being hurt by the woman, little Zhang tells the two to help her. Actually, she has a better idea, something involving a permanent marker. 10 minutes later, Zhang Zi is now getting scolded by his teacher. They understand he is a dangerous criminal, but either he did something, or they would be without kidneys. A police officer approaches and tells Liu Wei to be proud to have a hero as his student. However, he notices something. A young rank D defeated a first-order specialist. When asked how he did it, Zhang Zi tries to think of an excuse, and points to the hypnotized hunter, saying she helped him a lot. The officer quickly recognizes the figure. Her name is Shen Mengdi. In addition to being a hunter, she is a first-order specialist who has already caused several problems for the police. But the most important question is, what are those drawings on her face? Confused by the turtle on her face, the officer says he will take her and the bald guy to the station, and tells Zhang Zi to come by later to collect the reward for helping capture the fugitive, leaving him surprised, even though he has to share the amount of 1.5 million with the hunter. The Zhang brothers thank the officer. Now they will be able to pay for the youngest's kidney treatment. Lying in bed, the protagonist waits for the time to go to the demon domain. Until his Paraguayan Omnitrix shines, let's go catch some more monsters. Arriving at the 4th layer, he notices that everything has returned to normal after the death zone disappeared. Even with few beasts, Rakshasa believes he will be able to explore the place comfortably. He then sees the list of monsters: pig heads, harpies, and the Minotaur commander. The information is scarce, making him even more curious to know what they are like. Walking through the arid forest, the summoner notices eyes watching him from among the trees. They are the pig heads, who seem crazy for some human meat and milanesa. Good timing, they arrive just in time to be dinner for Rakshasa and company. He then summons the Goblin King and the Butcher of Death to fight. Now drooling, the two pigs charge at them. They might really be hungry. Rakshasa orders the Goblin King to block the attacks. However, even while preventing them, the beast takes considerable damage. Considerably high, I might add. The summoner then commands the Butcher of Death to take them down, which he does using his chains on the two pig heads. Impressed with his new little friend, he doesn't notice something flying towards him. Rakshasa only realizes when the claws are close enough to his face, but he manages to dodge before being hit, surprisingly enough. A harpy almost sliced him into pieces as quickly as a sushi chef. With his new bow in hand, he prepares to attack her. The summoner then shoots towards the monster, and the arrow makes a small arc going from the bow to the ground. Irritated and embarrassed, he tells his sky-swallowing frog to set that chicken on fire. The beast then launches several fireballs at the harpy. She dodges some, but is soon hit by one, leaving someone quite happy indeed. An hour later, a poor harpy falls to the ground, almost like a roasted chicken. Her defense and that of the pig head are not very high, so it was quite easy to defeat them. Rakshasa then summons his latest acquisition. His new army of beasts is finally ready. 1 giant frog, 1 hairy goblin, 1 spider, 1 bald ogre, 3 pigs, and 3 parakeets. With his list complete, Rakshasa can now face the boss of the 4th layer. Suddenly, he hears screams for help in the distance, and sees a girl with a bunny tiara being chased by a guy with a club. A typical Looney Tunes chase is getting closer and closer to the summoner. With no time for this, he decides to just pretend he didn't see them and leave. However, the girl Yu Guangqiu too grabs one of his legs, pleading to be saved. Trying to get out of this situation, Rakshasa tells her to quickly return to the altar of the 4th layer. Then she starts saying that she did everything for him and can't be abandoned like this, leaving him very confused. This fake bunny must have sniffed some bad grass, it can only be. The pursuer, Baozhou de Longwang, concludes that Rakshasa is the mastermind behind all this, but this only leaves him even more lost. Who are these people, my god? Believing that he had abandoned the pink girl, the fighter gets even angrier, and without thinking much, charges at the summoner, who panics upon realizing he will have to deal with a hothead without brains. So much so that he takes a while to notice when Xiao Tu escapes from there, taking his 3 intermediate orbs. Now we understand why Longwang is so angry. The fighter demands he return his items, but Rakshasa has just been robbed too. However, he doesn't believe it and tries to strike him with his club. Seeing that there is no reasoning, the summoner decides to go for ignorance instead, and calls his venomous spider to fill his opponent with sticky webs. Surprised, Long Wang asks if summoning monsters is his gift. As an apparent answer, he sees the sky-swallowing frog being summoned by him, and ordered to use Fireball on the fighter, who was hit squarely by the attack. All scorched, he challenges him to a mano-a-mano fight, and takes a red potion, making him stronger. To have broken the webs so easily, he must have taken the famous juice. With the club in the air, Long Wang leaps towards Rakshasa, who manages to dodge his strike quickly, impressing him as he did not expect to see such speed. Not giving up, the fighter charges again. However, his attack is blocked by the Goblin King's blades, leaving him even more surprised. How did this kid manage to summon such a strong monster? With a chuckle, Rakshasa invokes another from his collection. Looking back, the man can't believe his eyes. There is a death butcher before him. Long Wang drops his weapon, trying to absorb that someone can summon him. With two strong monsters in front of him, he just falls back and surrenders. Even so, he refuses to accept defeat. 1 against 5 is a bit unfair. The summoner counters, saying it doesn't make sense to stop him from using his gift. When questioned about Xiao Tu, Long Wang gets irritated, still thinking they are partners in crime. However, Rakshasa quickly responds that they are not accomplices, and shows the man that he was also robbed by her. Even I would be embarrassed by that blunder he made. Young ones, don't be like Long Wang. Think with your brain before using your muscles. After that blunder, he apologizes to the summoner, who was already without his monsters. Well, at least the brute knows when he's wrong and tries to make amends. Still embarrassed, the fighter extends his hand and asks to be friends. It's the first time Rakshasa meets someone so upbeat, but he actually enjoyed that. The summoner then accepts the handshake and his request for friendship. All settled, Long Wang says goodbye to go beat up some bosses out there with his friends. His way of handling everything is rough and simple. Rakshasa actually liked that about him too. Guided by the map, he quickens his pace to find the boss of the 4th layer, and it seems he is on the right path. Arriving at the arid stone forest, the summoner hears cries for help. From the voice, he recognizes it as Xiao Tu's. Jesus, why that crazy rabbit? The rogue is hiding behind a wall of ice trying to protect herself from the boss's attacks. The Minotaur commander seems very determined to break that icy wall. Another axe strike is delivered, causing the ice to start cracking. Meanwhile, Xiao Tu continues crying and desperately screaming for help. The summoner just watches the scene from afar, finding it amazing how karma works. However, he notices that the name of the boar head behind the boss seems a bit strange, and soon hears the said Barry Yu say that she deserves to disappear for stealing his things. Rakshasa even agrees that her thievery is detestable, but wishing for that is too much. The wall of ice is struck again, making it more and more cracked. Seeing this, the summoner grabs his bow and shoots an arrow right in the middle of the Minotaur commander's head, which makes him furious and asks who did that. The false boar tells him not to interfere, still claiming that the thief is getting what she deserves. Going to a rock, he retorts that she is very young and could have another chance, but the boss doesn't care about any of that and charges at him. Barry Yu mocks his heroic attitude and challenges him to prove his strength, believing that the big monster will easily defeat Rakshasa, who seems quite calm. The summoner then uses his summoning gift and calls forth his army of monsters for battle, surprising Barry Yu, who didn't even know such a skill existed. Finding himself surrounded, the Minotaur commander uses fury to increase his power. Rakshasa commands his poisonous spider to throw webs at him, which the boss tries to cut with his axe but fails. With him pinned in place, the summoner orders everyone to attack together, and thus his monsters obey him. The Death Butcher is the first to attack, using his chains. Rakshasa commands the sky-swallowing frog to shoot fireballs. Now this has turned into a full-blown brawl. Seeing this bunch of summons, Barry Yu starts to believe that this guy is invincible. Compared to him, his disguised gift is a pathetic joke. The false boar decides to leave, telling the scared girl that she was lucky this time. Still hidden behind the ice, Xiao Tu can only hear the sounds of the fight while sobbing. With one last attack, the boss's life is reduced to 0, marking the defeat of the Minotaur commander. The summoner sees the boss of the 4th layer disappearing after being defeated, and receives a message indicating his victory. Time to reap the rewards of the team. How nice it is to have strong monsters to carry him. However, he is interrupted by a shy Xiao Tu, who comes to apologize to him, and hands him some orbs as a form of thanks for saving her. When the water hits the backside, a person even changes their attitude. The girl then steps back while Rakshasa tells her to stop stealing now. With more orbs in his account, he decides to see the face of his new monster, and summons the Minotaur commander. Seeing the portal in front of him, he thinks it's best to activate the 5th layer before leaving. Going to the real world, someone is returning from the demon domain to a small room. It's Barry Yu, who arrives complaining about the summoner meddling where he shouldn't. Well, the only option is to eat a cup noodles for now. However, something catches his attention when he picks up his phone. A wanted notice for Rakshasa, offering a cash reward, which makes the bald man quite happy. The next day was supposed to be just another ordinary day for Zhang Zi at the 5th Academy, until he hears them talking about a post from Xu Guang on the Demon Domain forum. Confused, he decides to check his phone to see what it's about, and it's like a 4chan of this universe. Any adventurer can join and speak freely, so much so that it is the most active and influential communication platform in the Demon Domain. Accessing the forum, Zhang Zi is shocked to discover that he is on the wanted list, even more so when he reads the client's name, Shuguang Organization. He concludes that Wang Jiwen managed to send his information before being defeated. There's no way around it. He will need to find more allies in the Demon Domain to accompany him. Entering the classroom, 2 classmates are discussing the events in the 4th layer. The topic seems to excite them. Even though it happened a few days ago, Zhang Zi barely sits in his class when he hears Wang Yang calling him. Unable to contain his joy, he starts chattering about his idol's feat in the death zone. However, it seems he is being summoned today, as someone calls for him again, shouting. Suddenly, the door is kicked open by a thug named Ayu, who doesn't stop yelling for Zhang Zi to show up. The other students are left confused. What does gang leader Ayu want with him? Seeing that he needs to intervene, the young man asks his friend to step aside. Approaching him, Ayu says he wants to replace him, according to the voices in his head, but he soon decides to charge at him with a chair he grabbed on the way after hearing his response. Zhang Zi manages to dodge the attack and lands a punch on the delinquent's face, sending him crashing into a wall. Some members of his gang rush to help Ayu, while Zhang Zi seems disappointed. Perhaps he expected more from a rank B. Outside the classroom, the students who witnessed the scene can only talk about it now. However, Jing Hao seems more focused on measuring the strength of the punch thrown by Zhang Zi, which was weak until recently, but now he has become Thanos punching Captain Marvel, unwilling to accept having his place at Kingdom Martial Arts School taken from him. At night at home, Zhang Zi warns his sister that the streets have been dangerous lately, but the girl reassures him, saying that the guards at her school are all specialists. Seeing her brother face monsters every day, she is curious to know about her domain. Zhang Feng can hardly wait to find out what hers will be. In the Demon Domain, the summoner prepares to venture into the 5th layer. However, he notices an abnormal number of people as soon as he enters the place. His wanted poster is having an effect then, and leaving that altar is not a viable option at the moment. His only way out is to return to the 4th layer and hunt more bosses to form a team of their own. Time to get out of there, thanks and goodbye. And the hunters were left there, twiddling their thumbs. Back in the 4th layer, Rakshasa is looking for bosses for his collection, until he notices someone hiding behind a tree and tells the person to show themselves. But he soon gets startled when he feels his leg being grabbed. It's Xiao Tu again, this time apologizing and asking for help to get to the 30th layer. Wanting to talk civilly, the summoner asks the girl to let go of his leg, but she doesn't let go and says she will only stop if he promises to help her. And he does. The whiny tick tactic works like a charm. Xiao Tu offers him everything she has of value as a form of gratitude. However, Rakshasa declines the items and says he will only accompany her as far as he can. With that, they form a group. When asked, the girl explains that her domain is called prestidigitation. The summoner then has the idea to use this on the bosses, making her curious to test it. He also questions her reason for going to the 30th layer, and she says her father disappeared there, making him gulp. The chances of him being 6 feet under are extremely high. Sometime later, the two find the boss finishing off a group of adventurers, whose last member has just taken an axe blow. It seems their turn in line has come. Rakshasa then uses his summoning domain, calling forth his army of minions for battle. The plan is quite simple. While he distracts the boss, Xiao Tu takes the opportunity to try to steal from him. Preparing his bow, the summoner orders his monsters to attack. All obey him, starting with the Butcher of Death, but it doesn't take long for everyone to start beating the creature. Tired of taking hits, Commander Minotaur goes into a fury and tries to charge at Rakshasa, who quickly summons his venomous spider to trap him with webs. With him pinned to the ground, it's time for Xiao Tu to shine. She approaches from behind and uses her prestidigitation on him, acquiring a hard horn from the Minotaur. That might make a nice horn to annoy the neighbors. The boss lets out a furious roar, scaring the bunny girl, but the summoner appears by her side and reassures her. Seeing that his plan worked, he encourages her to keep stealing from him, and so she goes back to take more things from Commander Minotaur. This time, a piece of cow hide. Upon seeing him roar once more, Xiao Tu starts to provoke him and sticks out her tongue. Rakshasa decides to keep the materials for now, as he found nothing useful about them. Closing his guide, he believes they have gathered enough items, and he tells the Death Butcher to finish off Commander Minotaur. With the portal open, he warns that he will just make a quick stop at the 3rd layer and will be right back. Before proceeding, the summoner wants to catch one more Goblin King for his collection, so he arranges to meet Xiao Tu at the altar of the 5th layer later, and summons his new commander Minotaur to set off. All set, it's time to collect some more monsters. In the third layer, an explosion can be heard coming from the Goblin camp. It's Rakshasa and his team of bosses defeating the Goblin King once again. His luck was high this time, as he didn't have to compete to face him. Now with his list complete, there's nothing to fear if ambushed by hunters. Well, time to move on. Arriving at the altar of the fifth layer, the summoner is already greeted by Xiao Tu, who warns him to be careful as there are many people behind him for the bounty. But Rakshasa reassures her. Suddenly he is called by Yuying, who is accompanied by 4 other adventurers. One of them is Long Wang, who quickly recognizes the bunny girl by his side. When questioned about this, the summoner replies that she has changed and will not steal anymore. And Xiao Tu extends some orbs to the fighter as a gesture of apology. In the end, Long Wang forgives her. Being a gentleman with women is sometimes difficult. The leader of the group, Zhu Shen, greets Rakshasa and asks to be friends. However, he warns that it is not very safe as he is in the sights of bounty hunters, arousing the curiosity and greed of the group's healer, Jinqian Xiao Gongshu, who asks to be allowed to capture him so she can keep all the money. But she is interrupted by Long Wang. He just earned 1.5 million recently and already wants more. Hearing this, the summoner connects the dots. She is Shen Mengdi, a hunter from before. Zhu Shen asks for a bit of cooperation from Xiao Gongshu, who ends up agreeing. Long Wang starts chattering about Rakshasa's summoning gift, saying it works even with bosses, which impresses the group's mage, Yai Jikyu. When asked about his rank, the summoner simply replies that it is above S, leaving everyone shocked. Rank S adventurers are not common, let alone in SS. Even being praised, Rakshasa remains humble and says he is still just a novice. Now that everyone knows each other, they can add each other as friends at will. And so they do, looking almost like Facebook. Xiao Tu is amazed to hear all this. She never imagined she would have such luck. Remembering her promise, Rakshasa asks to include the girl in the group as well. For the fighter, there is no problem at all. But Xiao Gongshu did not like the idea and says that the group should charge a fee for the service since they are on the front lines. Zhu Shen offers to pay Xiao Tu's share, but the healer says it's free for him. Yuying explains to Rakshasa that, despite being expensive and sour, she is nice and very skilled. With the situation resolved, the leader calls them to face the Black Fin Warlock. From then on, teamwork will be essential for the summoner to advance, starting with the fishmen that appear behind the rocks in their path. Seeing them running towards the group, Zhu Shen puts his shield in front and uses defensive aura to boost his companion's defense. Rakshasa is impressed, not expecting that this was his gift. A surfer charges to attack them, but Long Wang doesn't waste any time and hits him, surprising a total of 0 people. With the defensive aura, the fighter's confidence is through the roof. He just forgot about the Tide Collar healing his scaly buddies. Yuying then charges at one of the monsters and attacks it with Light Slash, making a very tasty sashimi. Along with that, other monsters are surprised to find their feet frozen. Jitsu has just used Frozen Rain Chain on them, and now everyone is stuck to the ground, unable to move. The summoner and the rogue watch the fight, amazed by the team's perfect coordination. Frozen, the monsters turn into chunks of ice in Long Wang and Yuying's hand. Wow, these guys are so impressive that Rakshasa didn't even have time to do anything. After the battle, the group heads towards a large stone pillar, and Zhu Shen tells everyone to touch it to receive the blessing of the water god. Rakshasa is confused, but Yuying explains that it's so they can breathe underwater. With that, he touches the stone and is blessed for 1 hour. Amen. After so many failures, Long Wang hopes they can defeat the boss this time. Strategy guides to defeat him are more valuable than limited edition books. This makes the summoner even more determined to have him in his collection. In the depths of the sea, the group continues on their way. Out of fear of water, Long Wang teases Xiao Gongshu, who only threatens not to heal him. Suddenly, the 7 adventurers bump into someone Zhu Shen quickly recognizes. Hai Liqui and his companions had to flee from the boss right after he reached the 3rd phase. Seeing that they will face him too, he wishes them good luck and heads towards the coast. The leader says that this gentleman is a rank S who has been trapped in this battle for almost a month. And Yuying explains that the fight against the Black Fin Warlock is divided into 3 phases. First, he sends hordes of minions to protect him before entering the fray. Then he attacks with Dark Charge, dealing significant damage to the target and even pushing them away. And finally, with less than half health, he uses Sacrificial Death to attack in an area. In other words, he is the typical boss from some Final Fantasy. Zhu Shen suggests that the group be divided into roles to face him this time. With the new strategy ready, they finally arrive at a ruined structure, from where they can see a black energy emanating from something in the center. It is the Black Fin Warlock preparing his magic. His first phase has just begun. Zhu Shen tells everyone to stay behind him and instructs Jikyu to control the horde of minions. Someone is going home with 5 sushi boats today, huh? With the start of the battle, the Black Fin Warlock summons his minions to protect him, and the group puts their strategy into action. Zhu Shen defends his companions with defensive aura. GQ controls the horde using Frozen Rain Chain. Yuying and Long Wang focus on dealing damage to the monsters, and the summoner stays in the back with 2 of his summons in Xiao Gongshu. There are already more fish there with them than in the seafood section of the supermarket. The surfers charge against Rakshasa's Gotland King, who is simply ground to bits. Poor thing. More minions appear at the warlock's command. Slicing through more fish, the swordswoman warns that they are entering the second phase of the fight. The boss then begins to move almost in the blink of an eye. Seeing him going after the fighter, Yuying tries to warn him to be careful. However, the Black Fin Warlock is faster, and hits Long Wang with Dark Charge, sending him flying away. Rakshasa watches this scene in shock, not expecting the boss to teleport to them. Xiao Gongshu then uses Verdant Blessing on the injured companion, who stands up extremely irritated as his health is restored. The warlock must really want his behind to keep attacking him first. Long Wang tries to hit him, but the boss has already teleported again, this time behind Yuying, who is struck in the back and thrown into the air. Rakshasa notices the swordswoman falling near him, and manages to catch her in time. A classic scene of the prince saving the princess for you. Trying to stop his teleport, GQ uses Frozen Rain Chain on the boss. Now with him frozen, Long Wang jumps towards him, and manages to hit in with his staff. Out of the ice block, the Black Fin Warlock moves away from the group, teleporting back to the center of the structure. The third phase is about to begin. With that, Zhu Shen tells everyone to prepare to act according to the plan. Long Wang and Rakshasa go to their positions at the spawn points of the minions, and 3 more monsters are summoned by him to help. The group leader warns them of the start of the third phase. At that moment, a portal appears in front of Rakshasa, from which the surfers emerge, and they charge wildly towards him. The Butcher of Death manages to defend himself and easily defeats 3 of those monsters, adding them to Rakshasa's collection, who doesn't waste time and summons them. Long Wang is amazed by that scene. Rank SS really are impressive. The distraction was so great that he almost got run over by surfers coming out of the portal. However, instead of attacking them, they head towards the Black Fin Warlock, that grabs you by the head without mercy. He is preparing the sacrificial death. The boss uses the servants at his disposal to drain their life energy, and thus conjure sacrificial death. With that, the adventurers are struck and cursed. Reading the effect of the Curse of Death, the summoner is astonished by how strong it is, but the plan must continue. There's no way they will let the warlock use that again. Jichu continues using Frozen Rain Chain on the remaining surfers, keeping them trapped so they cannot approach the boss. Meanwhile, Yuying grabs her rapier to finish them off quickly, turning them into ice cubes. Long Wang also attacks the servants, now out of patience. Rakshasa tries to think of how to end this battle before they start to drown. The Black Fin Warlock uses Sacrificial Death again, increasing the curse's effect. His magical attack is now 40% stronger. Everyone is healed by Xiao Gongshu's Verdant Blessing, but it's only enough for 1 out of 6 people. Anyone who has played support will understand this suffering. The fishmen continue advancing toward the group without stopping. After defeating another one, Yuying says they can't keep going like this. Another servant comes within the boss's reach. He grabs it by the head and conjures Sacrificial Death once more. This time, his magical damage is 3 times stronger, hitting the swordswoman squarely in the chest and making her fall to her knees, extremely weak. If everyone is defeated in the demon domain, they will be done for. Suddenly, staffs conjuring water healing are raised, restoring the life of the adventurers who are confused at first. Upon realizing what it is, Long Wang tells everyone to look behind. Rakshasa has just summoned some tide callers to help in the battle. Well, that's how it goes. You have to let a little drama unfold before showing up to save the day. And the fighter starts with the flattery, like a straight student with the teachers. At least it relieved Xiao Gongshu, who won't have to heal alone anymore. With confidence restored, Zhu Shen encourages his companions to keep fighting. Jichu uses Frozen Rain Chain on the servants, and Yuying finishes them off all at once. Preparing her bow, Rakshasa orders her sky-swallowing toad to attack as well. The boss grabs another fishman to use Sacrificial Death, but is fatally struck by a fireball before he can conjure the spell. Zhu Shen, Xiao Gongshu, and Jichu watch the explosion dissipate, and see the Black Fin Warlock sprawled on the ground with 0 health. Smiling, the healer announces that the teleportation portal has appeared. Finally, the group can advance to the 6th layer of the demon domain. Long Wang approaches Rakshasa, who is staring at the ground, more precisely at the number of items that fell from the boss. Making the honors, the summoner finds an invitation to the death zone among the orbs. Maybe he can find a monster as strong as the Butcher of Death if he goes there. Thinking about it, he asks the group to keep just the card, which they agree to. The rest is divided among them. Only Xiao Tu is left out. but she says she doesn't mind. The group's excitement is so great that they can hardly wait to go to the 6th layer. With the items divided, the group prepares to advance to the next layer, which according to the Demon Domain guide is set in a mine. However, they hear someone let out a surprise shout behind them. When they turn around, they see other adventurers approaching the area. It's Mr. Hailiqui and his group, now accompanied by a specialist. Yes, they had to hire one to carry them, which isn't cheap. Ju Shen, always being friendly, wishes good luck to the old man, who thanks him. He will really need it, as the specialist does not accept refunds for lost time. With little choice, Hailiqui's group leaves, feeling their wallets ache with every step. Seeing the Sumner standing still watching the scene, Yuying calls him to move on. He wonders if many adventurers will hire him too when he becomes a specialist. Arriving at the 6th layer, the place is surrounded by ores and gemstones on the walls, being a labyrinth of complex passages and no fixed routes. Caution is key. Xiao Gongshu looks for Longwang, who has simply vanished. It was just a blink of an eye, and he left the altar without warning, until they hear a cry for help coming from one of the entrances, and see the fighter fleeing from an army of dogged miners. Fortunately, he managed to stumble into the altar in time. Jikyu asks him how he managed to provoke so many of them, who are now howling in frustration. Still on the ground, Longwang replies that he took a stone from a mine cart. Xiao Gongshu takes the red object from his hand to see if it's worth anything. Suddenly, a veteran adventurer appears to answer that question. Yes, the ores from this place are very valuable, especially if it's black gold. A mere piece can be worth over 500,000 in cash. This is because they are used to enchant weapons and equipment. Hypnotized by greed, the healer doesn't notice the stone being taken from her. With it in hand, Rakshasa asks the veteran how to enchant an item. He replies that one must go to the shop of the dwarf blacksmith, located on the 10th layer. But the ore Longwang picked up is of common level, worth only 10,000. Taking it back, the healer is already calculating how many she needs to get rich. With this discovery, the summoner thinks he should enchant his bow to improve it. GQ suggests the group collect some ores, leaving Xiao Gongshu extremely excited. However, that will have to wait for another time. They need to rest after that fight. The healer didn't like the idea, but Yuning manages to convince her to come back later. Seeing that it is indeed getting late, Rakshasa decides to go first and says goodbye, and everyone leaves the demon domain to rest. The next day, Zhangzi is at the police station receiving his share of the reward. Shen Mengdi is leaning against the wall, watching her money in someone else's hands. Besides keeping half of it, that brat drew a turtle on her face. The young man retorts, having his sister injured is much worse than being painted with permanent marker. However, that doesn't matter to the huntress, who is practically devoted to money. Suddenly, a bunch of reporters bursts into the police station to interview Zhang Zi. Amidst so many questions, someone mentions that he saved Shen Mengdi, which leads her indignant. She would never admit she was hypnotized, even though everyone already knows. Back home, Zhang Feng shows various news articles to her brother about his heroic act. Seeing him becoming famous makes her happy, but the young man says he prefers to remain anonymous. Subject closed, he tells his sister to study after dinner and heads to the demon domain. While waiting for the rest of the group at the altar, the summoner checks his summoning list. To his misfortune, Xiao Gongshu is the first to arrive. She still doesn't suspect it's Zhang Zi. Yuing appears shortly after, saying that his head is now worth 5 million. Look at that. In his defense, Rakshasa was just protecting himself from a second stab in the gut. Seeing him turn into pate at any moment, she offers to accompany him in the demon domain, and gives him her personal number. Even with Yuing saying she trusts him, the summoner prefers not to save her contact, which doesn't seem to please the swordswoman much. At this point in the story, we already understand that she wants to give him some affectionate gestures. Ju Shen and the rest of the group arrive shortly after, ready to enter the mines. Longwang is eager to explore the place and defeat those pickaxe dogs. As the great Sherlock he is, Rakshasa notices that the fights are getting increasingly difficult. While walking through a mine, the adventurers hear sounds of pickaxes, coming face to face with two dog-headed miners mining stones in a cave. The group then prepares for combat, following their usual strategy. However, even with his mega shield, Ju Shen feels the damage from one of their attacks. This is the power of the exploited CLT worker. Using defensive aura, the group leader tells everyone to be careful. Shichu then conjures freezing rain chain, so that Longwang and Yuning can defeat them more easily. Rakshasa limits himself to summoning the Butcher of Death and 2 surfers for now. However, they didn't expect the ice to break ahead of time, causing one of them to break free. The dog-headed miner charges towards the fighter, and hits him with his pickaxe, dealing quite a considerable damage. Seeing this happen, the mage can only find one explanation: he is resistant to ice. This shocks the summoner. An A-rank spell like that did almost nothing to these monsters. Longwang begs for a heal, almost out of strength in his arms, and his wish is granted by Xiao Gongshu and Rakshasa, with their tight collars. With his life restored, the swordswoman rushes to help him, slashing the dog with her rapier. One dog-headed miner is down, but the other is still left, who is mining the poor Zhu Shen's shield. The summoner then grabs his bow and summons his sky-swallowing frog, and both fire at the monster, launching it into the air. With that, Long Wang, Yuying, and the Butcher of Death manage to defeat it together. Zhu Shen suggests they improve their skills before coming up with any plan. However, the group didn't even have time to breathe. More barking emerges from inside the cave. Where's the dog catcher when you need one? Our summoner and his group were not very humble this time. They will need to improve their attributes if they want to face the boss of the 6th layer. Starting with those 2 dog-headed miners coming in their direction, Jikyu uses freezing rain chain again to freeze them. However, both easily free themselves due to their resistance to the cold. As soon as they exit the ice, one of them strikes Long Wang, who is about to attack him, and the Death Butcher of Rakshasa hits the miner. Long Wang asks to return to the 5th layer, but Zhu Shen tells everyone to hold their ground. But the idea of being trapped for 6 months fighting little monsters did not please Xiao Gongshu. Yuying asks what Rakshasa is looking at so intently, and he replies that he knows how to defeat them. He notices that the miners have something in common on their heads: candles. With this, the swordswoman deduces that they need them to see. Preparing his bow, Rakshasa reveals that one of them became confused after losing his candle. In other words, the candles are the weakness of the dog-headed miners, and the summoner decides to prove his point by hitting one of theirs. As expected, the dog became all lost, poor thing. Yuying and Long Wang get excited to see that it worked. Thanks to this, the fighter manages to hit his stick on one of their heads, and the swordswoman was able to finish off the other one calmly. Finally, Long Wang can laugh in the face of danger. Ha ha ha. Grateful for the help, Zhu Shen invites Rakshasa for a little outing after cleaning the lair, but he reminds him that he is still in the sights of the hunters. Yeah, let's save the happy hour for later. While the ords are collected, the summoner checks the demon domain guide. The boss, Lord Dog-Headed Miner, is in the depths of a special cave. Now more confident, the adventurers continue their journey through the labyrinth. They walk among walls of ores until they reach the entrance of a cave. This is where the Lord Dog-Headed Miner is hiding. Jun Shen warns them to be careful. Besides dealing high damage, the monster can stun them. However, upon entering the cave, they encounter another group facing it. What a shame. They will have to wait their turn. It is then that Xiao Gongshu notices the presence of a red-haired woman leaning against the wall, who also seems to recognize her. Her code name is Luoyan Chao Xinganu. Mocking, the redhead asks if the young woman has finished paying off her family's debts, and continues to provoke her, now calling her friends incompetent subordinates. Rakshasa becomes worried, but Yuying and Long Wang say he doesn't need to interfere. Suddenly, the gunslinger from Xiao Xianu's group appears and asks if she knows them. She says that Xiao Gongshu humiliated her several times in the past, so of course she wouldn't forgive her. The redhead then decides to adopt a new strategy, bribing her friends with money, which leaves the healer trembling with rage. Long Wang quickly refuses, saying he would never sell out his friends even if he were poor. As My Little Pony says, friendship is magic. Seeing that she won't gain anything from this, Xiao Xianu claims to have already reserved the boss, and challenges them to try to take it from her while her subordinate aims the gun at them. However, upon seeing their S-rank equipment, Rakshasa stops Long Wang and retreats. With that, Xiao Xianu and her gunslinger send the group packing. The truth is that the summoner has a trick up his sleeve. The other group is still very busy facing the Lord Dog-Headed Miner. It would be a shame if a barrel full of dynamite exploded behind them. The explosion startles Xiao Xianu, who is left confused about how it happened so suddenly. The summoner continues shooting arrows at the barrels of dynamite, causing large explosions on the battlefield. Injured, the redhead's subordinates begin to flee, ignoring her orders. It seems the tables have turned, doesn't it? Seeing who caused this chaos, she points her finger at the adventurers, ready to curse them. But that will have to wait. The ground is giving way. Seeing the cave start to collapse, Zhu Shen asks them not to panic. Meanwhile, Xiao Xianu and her group fall into the hole that formed there along with the boss. Calling for help, she hardly knows what awaits them. If you thought of several dog-headed miners, congratulations. You hit the nail on the head. Surrounded, the redhead orders the gunslinger to protect her. The thing is, there are too many monsters to face. Not wanting to die either, he simply grabs a teleportation scroll and bails out. And so, Xiao Xianu is abandoned by all her subordinates. The pickaxe dogs advance towards her, but the only thing the redhead can do is scream in despair. Suddenly, the monsters that were about to attack her are frozen. Looking up, she sees Xiao Gongshu and her friends and begs for help. The healer takes advantage of this and imposes a condition: pay 5 million for each one. Seeing Xiao Xianu indignant at the amount, she simply says they will leave, making the redhead accept in desperation. At this point, dignity no longer exists. Deal made. a rope is thrown into the hole, and she uses it to climb up and escape that place. 10 minutes later, the money lands in the healer's account. Ik Xiao Xinganu leaves sulking, saying she will return the favor in the future. Long Wang thinks Xiao Gongshu was cruel, but she disagrees. After all, the redhead is very wealthy. Changing the subject, Rakshasa asks what to do with the boss trapped in the hole, especially since there are several dog-headed miners around him. The fighter suggests that he attack from where he is while the others confront them up close. With that, the 5 adventurers descend into the hole. Using defensive aura, Zhu Shen reviews the usual strategy before the fight begins. Long Wang notices that the dog-headed miner lord has many candles on his head. More precisely, 10, resembling a chandelier or even a birthday cake. Rakshasa then says he will take care of them and shoots 2 arrows in their direction. The first hits one of the candles perfectly. However, the second is broken in half before it could hit another. In other words, this big dog knows how to defend itself very well. Due to the many monsters, Jikyu freezes a few first to reduce the pressure of the fight. Meanwhile, Yuying attacks the boss with her rapier, but she realizes that her damage is very low. Suddenly, a stick of dynamite is thrown in her direction by the boss. Seeing this, Long Wang warns the swordswoman not to get hit, or she will take a lot of damage. However, an arrow from Rakshasa pierces the explosive, causing it to explode before it got close to her. Yes, authors of the Manhwa, we already understand that Yuying is the Princess Peach of this universe. The summoner calls his sky-swallowing frog to help, and both start attacking him with arrows and fireballs. The summoner and his sky-swallowing frog fire at the boss, who is hit by both attacks squarely. Long Wang quickly gets excited. If they keep this up, they will win the fight in no time. However, the big dog still has tricks up his sleeve, or rather in his pants, and he starts throwing sticks of dynamite into the air. Seeing this, Rakshasa shouts for everyone to seek cover, but the group is hit by the explosions. The big dog had barely finished using them and can already use them again. What a trick. And it seems he still has many more to spend. Before he could explode everything, an arrow extinguishes another candle from his head. Rakshasa tells them to take advantage of the distraction to attack him. With the group healed by Xiao Gongshu, Yuying wastes no time and returns to combat. Using Light Slash, she delivers several attacks on the boss, just like Long Wang, who strikes him with his staff. Zhu Shen protects everyone with his shield, encouraging them to attack together. Then Rakshasa and his sky-swallowing frog fire at the same time, hitting the dog-headed miner lord squarely. Seeing him with 0 health, the fighter starts to celebrate prematurely. However, the leader realizes that something is wrong. The big dog is going to self-destruct, leaving all the adventurers in distress. Zhu Shen then advances with his big shield to protect his companions, who plead with him not to do it. But it's too late. The dog-headed miner lord explodes himself. Seeing such a desperate scene, the summoner descends into the hole using the rope. The rest of the group calls for Zhu Shen amidst the smoke. They find the pieces of his shield scattered and begin to prepare for the funeral, until they hear a voice coming from some rubble in a corner. Surprise! The little boss is fine and healthy as much as possible. The adventurers run to him to help. Unfortunately, his heroic act came at a cost. All his equipment is broken, but the boss might have something useful for them. In the midst of the orbs, Xiao Gongshu finds the black gold ore. She and Jikyu suggest that the item be given to Zhu Shen, who tries to refuse the offer. However, Rakshasa convinces him to accept, as he needs new equipment. With the ore in hand, the leader says they will head to the 7th layer as soon as he is equipped, and everyone agrees. Today was indeed an explosive day. The group then accompanies Zhu Shen back to the altar. On the way, Xiao Gongshu asks the summoner if he will do anything later, and invites him to earn some extra cash with her and Long Wang in half an hour. Rakshasa agrees and says goodbye to the group, leaving the demon domain. Back home, he uses this break to access the trading platform on his phone. While looking for items to buy, he notices how expensive the Great S equipment is. Zhangzi thinks of Xiao Tu when he sees a pair of agility boots. They are perfect for her. But something catches his attention, a silver necklace that improves his dom by 10%. It seems very little, but it's great for him, as it means he can summon one more monster. Determined, the young man buys both pieces of equipment. Now he just needs the credit card to accept it. Shopping done, it's time to find a crew for a trip to the mines. And so he returns to the 6th layer. At the altar of the 6th layer, the summoner meets with Xiao Tu, Xiao Gongshu, and Long Wang. And the healer's idea is to gather ores to sell. Wow, not predictable at all. Well, at least they now know how to deal with the dog-eared miners. On the way, he hints to Xiao Tu by saying that the items will only go to those who help. The 4 then hear a small stone falling, and suddenly, 2 pickaxe dogs appear. Quickly, Rakshasa hits one of them with an arrow, and Long Wang charges at the other while Xiao Gongshu heals them from a distance. However, the fighter gets annoyed with the bunny girl when he sees her going behind the monster. Even so, she takes advantage of his disorientation to use prestidigitation. Xiao Tu comments that she only managed to steal a bunch of trinkets from him. With the fight over, Long Wang states that they are close to where he gathered ores last time. Hearing this, the healer rushes ahead and urges the others to hurry. Upon arriving, the group encounters a huge hole filled with scattered ores. This is a true gold mine. However, Long Wang points out a major problem: the weight of a measly piece of ore. The summoner then tells everyone to check their inventory and strength attribute. While he is the one who can carry the most stones, the healer is the one who can carry the least. With that, Rakshasa suggests defeating one monster at a time to avoid unnecessary risks. Preparing to lure them, he asks Xiao to find a place to take cover. The dog was mining peacefully until it felt an arrow whizzing past it. When it looks for the source, it spots a sneaky archer up top. It jumps towards Rakshasa, but Long Wang was already waiting for it there too. 1 hour later, the place is empty enough for the group to collect the ores. The summoner notices Xiao Tu approaching and asks where she has been. She simply replies that she was taking a stroll and will show him something cool later. With their inventories full of stones, the 4 adventurers then leave the area. Upon reaching the altar, they already hear someone shouting as if they were at a market. There are 2 adventurers announcing they want to buy 10 pieces of black gold. Xiao Gongshu tries to sell them the common ores they collected, but they refuse. When asked by their boss, one of them says they have only managed to get one so far. The response irritates the man, who threatens them if they delay young Master Cheng Feng. Rakshasa recognizes who it is. Better hurry up to become stronger than him. Frustrated, the healer tells the group to sell through the trading platform instead. Just as she is about to leave, Xiao Tu calls the summoner to give him something, and shows him a piece of black gold ore. Surprised, Rakshasa asks where she got that from. Well, it was from that pile of trinkets she picked up. That was actually the ore. The summoner accepts the gift after she insists a lot, and they say their goodbyes. With this ore, he will be able to make his bow more efficient for the upcoming layers. The next day, Zhangzi talks to Dr. Yang about his sister's 2 artificial kidneys. The doctor states that it costs 10 million to acquire the right for permanent use of them. However, he says he borrowed a bit and asks if he can at least buy one. Then he is proposed to wait for the arrival of the new artificial kidneys at the hospital, and he agrees. The conversation is interrupted by the sound of the door opening. A bald man enters the office demanding to speak privately with Dr. Yang, who asks the young man to go ahead and says he will notify him when he has news. With little choice, Zhangzi simply leaves the place. Now alone, the bald man tells the doctor that they need to go to the demon domain tonight. And what important task do these 2 need to do, you ask? I have no idea, as the scene cuts to the protagonist thinking about how to make money. Going to the 7th layer of the demon domain, it seems things are a bit tense around there. Upon arriving at the altar, Rakshasa sees Zhu Feng asking everyone to calm down, and approaches to ask what is happening. A group of crazies is attacking other adventurers all over the demon domain. Worried, Long Wang agrees with the suggestion to stay away for a while. Suddenly, a scream catches everyone's attention. An adventurer is being taken hostage outside the altar by a madman. Seeing the administration of the place there, the so-called Mogi from Wixao delivers his message to Zhu Feng, which is to give a lick to the neck of the poor random guy with a dagger. Crime committed. The guy leaves right after. Zhu Feng notices that it is someone from the Shuguang organization and is outraged by the audacity. He then goes in search of the criminal, followed closely by his niece. The summoner also follows them, wanting to know how powerful this gang is. Even with the adventurers' warnings, Rakshasa and Yuying leave the altar. The 3 find themselves at a fork that leads to 2 paths. However, the rebatter only randomly chooses one and tells the 2 young ones to stay close. Little do they know they are being followed by a giant ugly lizard, which reveals to be Wixao, who used metamorphosis to go unnoticed. The trio hears heady footsteps ahead. Zhu Feng warns that they are the wild giants, slow monsters, but very strong. He just didn't expect there to be a giant ogre with them. Rakshasa says that, according to the guide, her silent spell ability is very powerful, but the surprise is greater when it is explained that she can seal gifts. Determined to get past, the rebatter first attracts one of the wild giants. It tries to hit him with a spiked club but misses. While Yuying and her uncle advance toward the monster, the summoner attacks from a distance and sends his tide callers to heal. Delivering the final blow, Zhu Feng is impressed by how much life they restore. 1 big creature is down, 2 more to go. Unfortunately for the trio, both are closely packed together. The plan is to focus on the talkative one then. Uncle and niece then advance against him, while Rakshasa stays behind healing them. The 2 monsters notice their presence, and the giant ogre prepares his silent spell. His first target is Yuying, who will not be able to use Light Slash for the next 180 seconds. Seeing her unprotected, Zhu Feng rushes to protect her. The silly giant raises his spiked club to attack, but is blocked by the rebatter's sword. Hang in there, just 40 more seconds. Suddenly, Yuying shouts for her uncle to be careful. He is about to be hit by the giant ogre, but is unable to dodge now. However, the summoner jumps in front and takes the silence spell in his place. Zhu Feng is the one with the most damage there, so leaving him without his gift is not an option. Rakshasa tells him to attack the talkative one before he uses his ability again. Therefore, the three adventurers finish him off together, and the giant ogre falls hard to the ground. Only the last wild giant remains now, but the summoner feels that something is wrong. Think with me, there are monsters blocking the way, so the runaway must not have gone that way. Before they could think too much, Zhu Feng is alerted to something behind him that moves quickly to the other side, leaving him confused. As he turns around, he comes face to face with a giant lizard about to attack him. However, he soon realizes it is transformed Wixio. The rebatter is then struck by the creature, feeling a strong claw scratch. Seeing him call the other two, the criminal mocks their slowness in noticing him, and Zhu Feng warns them to be alert for possible surprise attacks upon seeing him disappear. Now it's time for Rakshasa and his little monsters to shine. Wixio was going to attack him first, but is surprised by the sky-swallowing frog beside him. He also notices a death butcher there and wonders if this is the summoner's doing, who has the following plan: to shoot fireballs everywhere until he hits the lizard. And the idea really works. With the criminal located, Rakshasa and his death butcher attack him, causing him to fall from the wall and return to his original form. Unable to continue, Wixio says that the trio was lucky today, and grabs a random teleportation scroll. Before fleeing, he laughs loudly and says that the Shuwang organization's hunt will never end. Unable to stop him, Yuying asks her uncle how dangerous she is. Zhu Feng reports that the gang has already decimated a team of excellent rank members before. In other words, Rakshasa, don't be a stone fool and pay attention. Not knowing where the criminal went, the trio decides to return to the altar. Far from there, Wixio is sitting reporting the incident to his leader, Yilu Shuguang. The gang's plan remains the same: cooperate with the headquarters and gather information in Tianfeng. Speaking of Tianfeng, the city walls are being destroyed at this very moment. Back home, Zhangzi tells his sister to change while he takes a look outside. However, a monster from the demonic den crashes through the living room window. The young man tries to calm little Feng, who is very scared by all of this, and tells her to go to the shelter, where it is safer. With that, they both run out of the house, encountering streets infested with monsters and people screaming for help. On the way, Zhangzi sees a child about to be attacked, and manages to save her just in time while telling his sister to get out of there quickly. Surrounded by monsters, the young man prepares to protect her and the child. Suddenly, one of them is hit by a spear as someone calls its attention. Zhangzi recognizes that voice. It is the woman who helped him and Lu Kai in the enemy occupation zone. And there she is, all pompous on top of a building. At least until a monster jumps in her direction. Seeing her about to be attacked, the protagonist warns the masked woman of the danger, but she quickly dodges with a leap and throws her spear towards the monster's mouth, defeating it. Truly a strong, independent, and self-assured woman. Suddenly, some uniformed men appear running towards her, who simply orders them to deliver the monster to a certain Professor Ouyang. The woman recognizes the young man and tells him and his sister to go to the shelter. Seeing her jumping around, Zhongfeng asks if his brother knows her, which he confirms. He watches her leave, swearing that he will become stronger than her one day. After the chaos, the city's screens report on the invasion that occurred the night before. Lying in bed, the young man wonders if the Shuwang organization is involved in this. Meanwhile, his classmates keep talking in the group chat. Zhangzi decides to go to the demon domain earlier to find out what happened. Arriving at the 7th layer, he finds Yuying, Zhu Shen, and Long Wang discussing the invasion. Due to the urgency of the situation, several specialists in the demon domain are being recruited, which frustrates the fighter, but hey, the way now is to strengthen himself and face the boss. On this, Rakshasa emphasizes that the current one can only be faced by up to 3 people. Then Zhu Shen suggests planning a strategy on the way to where it is located. According to the guide, this place opens every 12 hours and only a team of 3 can enter at a time. With this in mind, the leader says he has an idea: to divide the group into 2 trios. The first being him, Jikyu, and Xiao Gongshu, and the second, Yuying, Long Wang, and Rakshasa. The plan seems good. They might even finish faster than usual. Seeing Xiao Tu being left out, the summoner says he will help her as soon as he can get through. As there are no monsters on the way, the group heads straight to the boss Etan's cave, and encounters several adventurers being blocked from passing through the door by 2 men. Rakshasa recognizes one of them just by the codename Young Master Tyrant of the Chen family. Zhu Shen comments that the other guy, Fenjin Jushi, seems to be a top-notch specialist. According to the old man, today is a special day for his young master, so he has to go first, which infuriates everyone there, who have been waiting for the boss for hours before them. Jushi then decides to show that one should not disobey the elders, and knocks down some nearby adventurers just by planting his sword in the ground. Seeing this scene, Ju Shen tells the group to wait and see how it will turn out. However, he forgot that Long Wang is with them. He charges to attack the duo, but his staff is blocked by Jushi, who merely mocks his blind confidence. The fighter is shocked to feel the damage caused by the impact of that defense. His attacks and spider sense only show that the old man is strong both physically and spiritually. With all his arrogance, the young master mocks them and tells them to wait quietly, which infuriates Long Wang, who needs to be held back before he causes more trouble. Questioned by an impatient Chen, Jushi says they will enter when the little monster arrives. An adventurer then explains to the group that the door only opens at the boss's mealtime. Upon hearing that the appearance of the little monster is random, Rakshasa has an idea. However, before he could say it, the little giant arrives with the delivery. The ogre was already running toward the adventurers with his little pig in his hands. That blonde guy and the old man were arguing about how they would defeat the floor boss. Suddenly, the little giant let out a scream that startled them, and he fell to the ground. He turned furiously to Zhang Zi, asking why he had attacked the little giant. The dark-haired man simply said he didn't care if the other needed to defeat the boss. He wanted the little giant. The other got even angrier and began shouting uncontrollably about causing trouble there. Zhang Zi explained that if he couldn't fight the boss, then no one else would either. Already itching for a fight, the blonde said he would show them how powerful he really was. But the old man, far wiser than him, told the boy to calm down and not fight them. He gave in and dropped the idea, but said that unless he fought the boss, no one else would. Zhang Zi told him not to worry, he could make everyone there fight without him. The guy mocked his confidence, making fun of what Zhang Zi had just said. Zhang Zi said nothing more, just drew his bow and shot at the little giant. Everyone stood open-mouthed, astonished at how easily the creature was gone. Now that Chen was truly angry, the calm old man told him to rest and wait for the boss to regenerate. He told the two men who were with him to stay a little longer, while he would leave. The people around also felt disappointed, and Zhang Zi told them to wait. The crowd thought it was nonsense, and they were all leaving in a bad mood. Some murmured that Zhang Zi and his group had made the wrong choice by going against Chen. His teammate said he thought what he did was cool, but didn't understand why. Zhang Zi didn't wait another second and began showing him the reason. A summoning of the little giant appeared there, and now everyone understood Zhang Zi. Zhang Zi ordered his new pet to go open the cave doors. The little giant went and used all his strength, making people turn in fright to watch. Now the group was dividing into trios to go one at a time to defeat the boss. You could hear some people murmuring about what had happened as they went inside. Relentless, huge, pot-bellied, definitely hideous. Many words described the boss. The room he was in was large, which was good since it gave them more space to run from that thing. The giant barely caught sight of the three when Dragon King already charged forward to attack. Meanwhile, the two heads argued about striking them, giving Dragon King time. The blow caught them by surprise on the face, and now they decided to get up to avoid another hit. Dragon King took really heavy damage, and the adventurers saw they needed to be careful. Zhang Zi summoned several of his clones. Liu Yuning struck the two-headed monster several times with her sword, but they were weak. In the middle of her jump, one of its hands grabs her leg in midair, and the creature shakes her side to side like a rattle, and then throws her to the ground. Her teammate runs to help her, but he is hit by the monster as well. The two are thrown far away, crashing hard onto the cold cave floor. Zhang Zi summoned some copies while the two got back on their feet to fight. He asks the frog to swallow the heavens and breathe fire while he shoots an arrow. But the giant boss protects itself from the fire using its weapon, which is also gigantic. They realize that the adventurers have helpers and prepare for an attack. A green shadow begins to emerge from the ground from its extremely powerful magic. Oh no, a clone of the giant is being made, resembling Zhang Zi's talent. The clone is preparing to attack Zhang Zi, and Liu Yuning warns him to be careful. The boss of this layer is so powerful that he defeated another boss in one go. His strength is terrifying. He kills Zhang Zi's monsters without any problem. Dragon King and Liu Yuning join in a double attack while Zhang Zi sends the butcher. It seems that when they attack together, the effect is better, and they manage to deal significant damage to him. Even the adventurers were impressed by this. They hurt the monster's eyes. Zhang Zi suggests they try a new attack like that, grabbing his bow and arrow. The three charge at him again, but somehow the boss dodged the Dragon King and hit him with everything, causing a lot of damage and injuring him quite a bit. Zhang Zi understood something. He tells them to repeat the attack just one more time. Trusting his partner, the other two rush again at the giant to strike him. As expected, if they attack together in that way, the damage has more impact. This infuriated the boss of the 7th layer, making him scream and attack them quickly. They barely escaped from that enormous weapon that struck the ground, shaking everything. He has a health bar on each head. They must defeat the strongest one first. Sky-swallowing frog launches another huge fire blast. The giant even looked confused seeing them attacking again from all sides. More sounds of swords and strikes cut through the air, and one of the heads was defeated. Zhang Zi grabs his powerful bow, preparing to finish off the monster to obtain a copy of it. The arrow shoots out like a red lightning bolt on fire and hits the giant right in the chest. Finally, the body fell to the ground lifeless, and the trio achieved this hard-earned victory. The portal to the next layer had already formed behind the boss. Everyone was happy to have defeated another super powerful boss from the layers. The reward waiting for them is completely surreal. Thousands of orb coins and valuable items. Zhang Zi approaches, taking a powerful rank A sword and handing it to Liu Yuying. She accepts the sword, which is decorated with a beautiful rose and golden details along the hilt. Grateful for the equipment, the Dragon King and Liu Yuying leave everything else for Zhang Zi. The group decides to organize their things and head to the 8th layer of the demon domain. This layer is like a fairy tale. Everything is so beautiful that it seems enchanted. The Dragon King comments that his old city used to have a meadow before it was invaded. A noise of excitement catches their attention. Numerous bodies are running. There is practically an army of centaurs chasing other adventurers. There's an old man telling them to form a team and defeat the centaurs together. The guy has too many requirements to join his team and even asks for a fee. The trio notices the scam from afar and politely declines the offer to return to the 7th layer. They quickly teleport away. The old man even tries to negotiate, but it's too late. They vanished. They were somewhat indignant about how much the old man must deceive the innocent in that way. Soon they approached the people looking for the rest of the team. The group was happy to see them safe and sound. That spoiled little blonde practically screams asking why they are there. Another guy explains that it was Zhang Zi who passed through the door summoning the little giant. Zhang Zi says he will open the door so the others can also have the chance to defeat the boss. The little giant receives the orders and opens the gate again for the team to pass. His colleague thanks him and asks Zhang Zi to be careful until they return from the fight. Suddenly, the unfriendly old man seemed very interested in him, asking about his talent level. Before Zhang Zi could say anything, the Dragon King spoke for him, announcing that his power is rank S. With a straight face, the old man invites Zhang Zi to join the National Security Department. It was a surprise for Zhang Zi that the old man was connected to the most important department in the country. Our dear one politely declines the invitation, saying he hasn't even graduated yet. In fact, old Gao thinks that Zhang Zi's power could be a threat if he were an enemy. The Dragon King asks why Zhang Zi declined the offer. He says he just doesn't vibe with the guy. Liu Yuying even explains that the Dragon King feels frustrated about this. Everyone has their own path. 3 hours later, they are back in the 8th layer, the most beautiful one. The other trio defeated the boss in an incredible 30 minutes, for the second time. But everyone is quite tired, so they decide to go offline to rest. Everyone says goodbye and goes home to sleep. The next morning, Zhang Zi is leaving home to go to school. When he opens the door, he almost knocks over breakfast. A car appears in front of him. Sister Zhang arrives saying she will take him to a charity event. Zhang Zi is not interested. However, there will be important people there, including the team that will take care of his sister's kidneys. Without expecting much, the woman pushes him into the car and they go to choose an outfit. The event is in a sophisticated building and the place is full of well-dressed people. Inside the building, everything is beautiful and elegant, and the guests are wearing formal attire. Zhang Zi was thrown into a suit. He looked charming, just needed to comb his hair. They grab a drink and Jiang says she will take care of some things with important people. Zhang Zi continued walking on the decorated carpets when someone called out to him. He recognized the chubby Wang Yang and further back, the blonde Chen Feng. He was sipping wine with a bored expression when he recognized someone. He goes to talk to Liu Yuying, who was wearing a beautiful silk dress. She tries to change the subject. He approaches, touching her face and making a comment. The girl is irritated and slaps his hand. He annoyingly insists on making contact with her. Now that he mentioned the engagement, she pretends not to understand and leaves. But the guy is so annoying that he held her back, telling her not to go yet. She was already irritated by the attention they were receiving when another voice called for her. Zhang Zi is approaching and greeting his colleague. Liu Yuying calmed down immediately. She doesn't know that Zhang Zi is Rashkasa. Zhang Zi calls her, telling her to come talk to a friend of his, and she starts to walk over. Before they can distance themselves, Chen Feng calls out to Zhang Zi, recognizing him. He made a point to remind him of the fight they had at the club, but Zhang Zi pretended not to know anything. With an arrogant look, he pretends to remember who the blonde was on purpose. We realize that the little buddy has not a drop of self-control. Zhang Zi grabbed his fist at the same speed he tried to punch him. The well-known sixth uncle is approaching the two, catching their attention. Liu Yuying and Zhang Zi were happy to see him there. unlike a certain someone. He says it would be good for Chen Feng to confess a little and cause less trouble. But before leaving, the blonde says he will still officially propose to Liu Yuying. She was quite upset about this. The uncle assures her he will free her from the arranged engagement. The old man turns to Zhang Zi, thanking him for his help and asking if they know each other. Zhang Zi would like to talk, but it's not the right time to reveal his identity, so he leaves. The uncle jokes that the young man must be interested in her. She finds him very familiar. He quickly calls Liu Yuying to accompany him for an important conversation. Meanwhile, the chubby guy admires Zhang Zi's courage to provoke Chen Feng. In the hall, everyone seems to turn towards the door as if expecting someone. The large door opens, and many people greet Director Dongfang. We realize he is the old man from the National Security Office of the Demon Domain. Soon, Sister Jiang began speaking into a microphone announcing an auction. The proposed item is a super rare and unusual painting with calligraphy. Zhang Zi quickly recognized the work. He wonders how it ended up there. After looking around, he noticed that Chief Lai is there, that scoundrel. Zhang Zi wants to seek justice for the young men who lost their lives and calls the chubby guy to help. He is explaining the plan, although the other looks at him suspiciously and untrustingly. But nothing that a little drama can't do to convince the chubby guy to help him out of pity. The young man slowly walks behind the stage where the auction piece should be. He doesn't even breathe from tension when he presses a button while the girl is receiving bids. Suddenly, the image of the other chubby guy delivering the piece to Chief Li appears. People recognize the old man and the scheme right away, and they also saw when that bald guy who tried to take Zhang Zi down took the chubby guy's life. The old man became agitated, started shouting about it, and others wanted an explanation too. Zhang Zi appears from the back to poke at the situation, provoking the old man with the video. He approaches the girl who is with the old Gao, asking for her help. They debate whether the man in the video is the one who was arrested not long ago. The young lady confirms the identity of the murderer and orders them to arrest Chief Lai right now. The entire hall filled with comments as the old man was taken away by security. Seeming amused by the situation, the director praises her for her attitude in helping the young man. Liu Santong and the niece watched from afar, commenting on how brave and clever Zhang Zi was. He joins Dongfang, greeting him and formally introducing Liu Yuying. He is recommending her to join the National Security Department. Dongfang says he is not against recommendations, but the person has to deserve it. But to not leave the guy hanging, he tells him to talk to the person in charge, Xiao Qin. A little distance away, Zhang was praising Zhang Zi, who was already wanting to leave. The woman insists, saying there are very important people there for him to meet and talk to. Zhang Zi really doesn't want to chat with anyone else. He thanks them and starts to leave. As he walked, Liu Yuying watched him intently, while her uncle commented on something. After thinking for a while, she asks if he also thinks Zhang Zi resembles Rakshasa. The old man was surprised and suggested she go ask Rakshasa in the demon domain. Her eyes even sparkled with excitement. How did she not think of doing that before? Without wasting another second, she left, and her uncle thought that Rakshasa had enchanted her. A few moments later, in the 8th layer of the demon domain. As soon as Zhang Zi arrived, he saw his friends together. It seemed they had been through a tough time. The group said they had gone to fight monsters and encountered an army of centaurs. It was lucky they survived. It takes at least hundreds of people to defeat them. While they were still debating, Liu Yuying appeared at the altar and greeted them. She noticed that Zhang Zi had arrived earlier and was now almost certain he was Rakshasa. The monsters in that layer were all centaurs, and the group was discussing them. We have archers, night warriors, and then the big centaur chief, all terrifying. As soon as they leave, they agreed to be careful since they will soon encounter centaurs. Indeed, it didn't take long. Zhu Shen soon shouted to warn the others about the centaurs. He also told Zhang Zi not to waste all his summoning chiefs at once. Zhang Zi shot the first arrow from a distance, hitting the centaur squarely in the rear. At the same moment, it turned around furious, heading towards them to attack. Zhu Shen used his shield to defend against a strong blow, while Liu Yuying and the Dragon King charged in. The Dragon King got closer, and they began to fight while the centaur focused on him. The rest managed to launch attacks from a distance, hitting other parts of the monster. Liu Yuying made the final moves, striking several times with her sword. Thus, they defeated that centaur, which dropped a weapon and some soul orbs. Zhang Zi summoned several of his beasts to help make it easier and faster. With no time to rest, the group got back into position, and more centaurs attacked. The Dragon King and Liu Yuying worked together, attacking in tandem. Zhang Zi's monstrous summons also performed well as always. Zhu Shen attacked repeatedly with his power, leaving the monsters with no escape. Not bad. They took down 3 at once, and Zhang Zi even suggested forming a guild. But quickly everyone opposed the idea and gave reasons why it would be so difficult to have a guild. Without saying anything more, Zhang Zi continued to think. Maybe in the future, It would be nice to have one. In any case, they don't have the strength or resources to form one now. They need to evolve. The group was approaching the Centaur Fortress, but there were already people there. They got closer, and Zhu Shen greeted the short man in the middle of the conversation. Black Li Ku explained that the chief there is an elite chief, even more powerful. Zhang Zi tensed when he heard this, imagining how monstrous he could be. If the one from the first layer was extremely strong, they wouldn't stand a chance against one from the 8th. Well, with no hopes, they were deciding to leave early and go rest. Liu Yuying was going to take the opportunity to talk to Zhang Zi, but he was already leaving. The next day, early at school, Zhang Zi arrived in class, and his classmate was already excited. The chubby guy asked why Liu Yuying had come looking for him twice before he arrived. Before Zhang Zi could respond, she popped up at the door, calling him to talk. All the boys were whispering curiously, watching the two through the window. Wang Yang interrupted, saying he would tell the story of Zhang Zi and Liu Yuying. Like a historian, he began to invent that Zhang Zi was in love with her, and that he finally had his feelings reciprocated, but it was a secret. Out of nowhere, a girl blurted out that she must have had a child with Zhang Zi, shocking everyone. Far from all this gossip, Liu Yuying was thanking Zhang Zi with a notebook of fights. He said he couldn't accept it, but she insisted since she knew he wanted to go to martial arts academy. Zhang Zi felt a bit uncomfortable, thinking she might have discovered his identity. In the evening, Zhang Zi got home and ran into Shang having coffee. The woman teased him. She came for a home visit as his sister's teacher. Xiao Feng offers him some fruits that the teacher brought for them to eat. Shang comments that he knows about the overdue rent and the value of his sister's kidneys. Zhang Zi says he can take good care of them, and she asks him what his future plans are. She gives him a number and says he can call her if he needs to, and to think about his sister as well. Zhang Zi thinks she wants to recruit him for the National Security Department. The woman must have been keeping an eye on him for some time. He thinks about what happened, and he informs Xiao Feng that he will enter the domain earlier. She says she would like to go there one day. Once again, we are faced with the green and bluing fields of the 8th layer. Zhu Shen and Dragon King talk to Zhang Zi as soon as he appears. They comment that they hope the elite chief has already been defeated. They want to go see. A discussion catches their attention a few meters away. Irritated, an archer is being rejected from a guild because he is weaker. It seems that archers have to work harder than others in the demon domain. Zhang Zi impulsively introduces himself, saying he wants to form a guild of archers. The archers who were there were totally surprised, of course. Some people wasted no time in dismissing Zhang Zi's idea and criticizing him. His friends also say that things are not that easy and that he should abandon the idea. But all Zhang Zi said was, if he said it, he will make it happen. The archers felt inspired and accepted. The only thing they have to lose is their lives. Zhang Zi then announces that only that day he will be recruiting for free. A crowd formed around him to join the guild. Everyone wants to be part of it. His friends decide to join as well and support him. After all, they are in this together. A quick group conversation and everyone decides to join Zhang Zi. They humbly ask Zhang Zi if he would accept them even if they are not archers. Of course he would. Zhu Shen worries about how Zhang Zi will manage so many archers during combat. In a leak, the guild had 100 archers. Zhang Zi tells them to buy a shovel and come back. The guy is a bit confused, but Zhang Zi says it has to be something for them to dig. Now it's just a matter of waiting, because the show is just beginning. Then the crowd starts to follow Zhang Zi and his group. Some members, others just wanted to watch. They made good progress in a line until they were near some centaurs, and Zhang Zi stopped. Zhang Zi commands everyone to obey his orders because he will lead the attack. One of his friends says it could be a problem, but Zhang Zi tells them to wait. He tells the archers to prepare and wait for the order to shoot their arrows. Zhang Zi fires the first arrow, hitting right on the tail of a centaur. The monster's attention is drawn, and with a command from Zhang Zi, all the archers shoot. His colleagues were impressed by how much damage was dealt. It seems everyone discovered the true strength of an archer fighting in a group. Zhang Zi comments that there are still many monsters for them to defeat. Some guys who were not archers were scared by the impact of the move. Zhang Zi tells the archers to shoot again, and a sea of arrows flies once more, taking down 3 more centaurs that were attacking. This technique of Zhang Zi is good. Dragon King asked how Zhang Zi thought of this, and he says it was a technique used by a state long ago. Curiously, Dragon King had never heard of it because it is a story from another world. After defeating a few more monsters, they are in front of the chief's fortress. The archers are excited and eager to know how they will manage to defeat him. Zhang Zi explains the plan. They will dig a hole and trap the centaurs. Then the crowd of archers begins to dig a huge hole tirelessly. Zhang Zi says he will attract the centaurs himself. His friends tease that it is very dangerous. Even so, he wants to do it. Zhang Zi has good skills and still has an item, a potion that boosts his speed, making him fast as lightning. After some time digging and with everything ready, Zhang Zi tells them to prepare. His friends ask him to stay safe above all. Liu Yuying is worried. Zhang Zi tells them not to worry and runs towards the fortress. The group watches as he moves away, wishing him good luck and that everything goes well. There are so many tents in the area. The chief must have gathered hundreds of centaurs. Zhang Zi takes a closer look and sees that it is still the elite chief from the other day. He shot an arrow that passed right in front of the chief's face, barely grazing him. Furious, the centaur chief quickly raises his flag announcing a bloody battle. A crowd of centaurs charged towards Zhang Zi. He grabbed his speed potion and drank it in one gulp. Soon he was running and taunting the beasts to come after him and try to catch him. Further ahead, the group and the archers were waiting for the arrival of the centaurs. Now everything depends on this moment, whether the centaurs will fall into the trap or not. Zhang Zi ran past the rope, managing to reach the other side, and the centaurs began to fall one after another, unable to stop running. Zhang Zi orders the archers to shoot their arrows at the centaurs. In this way, hundreds of centaurs were killed almost all at once by them. Everyone watching the scene was shocked. It was something spine-chilling. The archers were also very happy and excited to be able to attack this way. Zhang Zi tells them to clean up everything the centaurs left behind to distribute later. For the first time, his friends felt somewhat useless for not having helped at all. There was still a lot of work to do. That was just the first wave of centaurs. There were 2 more to come. Zhang Zi assigns his companions to clean the field while he goes to attract more monsters. Moments later, the second wave of centaurs is coming, running after him. These are even faster and stronger than the ones they faced before. Zhu Shen is quite anxious and worried that Zhang Zi may not be quick enough. Zhang Zi jumps through the hole just in time. Once again, he tells the archers to release their arrows against the centaurs, focusing on their armor. Everyone must use their skills and give their best. They cannot fail now. The sound of the metal tips of the arrows hitting their armor can be heard. The damage dealt was very little. These centaurs have even greater resistance. Even though it is dangerous, they cannot stop now, or all their effort will be lost. This would shake the confidence of the others and could even make some leave the guild. Zhang Zi then tells them to cease fire and stop shooting. They will not take down that cavalry now. They will do it later. Zhu Shen was confused. Once again, Zhang Zi came up with a crazy and elaborate plan. They will trap the centaurs there and defeat the chief, going over them. When Zhang Zi said he would attract the chief now, his friends had a small outburst. It is absurdly dangerous, but Zhang Zi has a way to finish off the chief. As he was about to leave again, a hand grabbed his arm. The redhead tried to stop him from going. She asks him again to be very careful, and it is impossible not to notice her rosy cheeks. Zhang Zi says that if she wants to convince him, she has to at least let him kiss her. Liu Yuying blushes even more and says he can do that. He can kiss her. But then he took advantage of her letting go of his hand and ran off, saying it was a joke. Poor thing. Zhang Zi is summoning one of his bosses to help him. He didn't know he affected the redhead so much. The archers watched in awe as he rode out on a kobold. They reached where the centaur chief was, and Zhang Zi told him to throw some bombs. The wolf was preparing with the bombs while the chief also called his pack. When Zhang Zi said he could shoot, the kobold fired while Zhang Zi drank the potion. Some of the cavalry centaurs were defeated there. Zhang Zi would have to sacrifice him. The elite centaur chief charged at Zhang Zi, trying to strike him, but he dodged. Meanwhile, the centaurs were fighting with the kobold, and it didn't take long for something to happen. Before long, the summoning began to turn red and grow like a huge loaf of bread. A gigantic explosion occurred. It self-destructed right there in the fight. After the smoke cleared, Zhang Zi was already running again with the chief and the others behind him. Everyone prepared at the same time, anxiously waiting for the final moment. Zhang Zi arrived and jumped as fast as he could, telling the others to shoot. The archers stood firm, making a vow as the centaurs approached. Then the arrows flew rapidly and powerfully against the centaurs and the chief. The elite chief was throwing his spear towards the archers. He blocked many arrows, and his damage was absurdly high, almost lethal. Zhang Zi told everyone to be careful and do everything they could to avoid being hit by the spear. As expected from an elite chief, Zhang Zi decided to summon another boss for help, the Black Fin Mage. Many men were left in disbelief at what they were seeing. Zhang Zi truly was impressive. It was time for his precious to use his Dark Magistrate power. It was monstrous to see the Black Fin Mage preparing to use his power. It seems he is siphoning the centaurs' energy as if draining their lives, including that of the elite boss. His friends find it incredible. The more health one has, the more life is taken. The boss, who is not as foolish as he seems, finally realizes the curse and attacks. Zhu Shen is faster and blocks the attack with his shield, shouting for help. Dragon King and Liu Yuying decide to attack the boss at close range with some strikes. Zhang Zi also summoned the sky-swallowing frog to unleash fire. Everyone was helping while he took damage from the black-finned mage. The boss gets angry and rises like a horse, shouting, and when he falls to the ground again, his strength causes destruction, a loud noise echoes, and the ground cracks into pieces. Zhu Shen and Zhang Zi run over, worried about their friends. A giant boss is summoned by Zhang Zi at that moment, while the centaur boss was preparing to attack again at any moment. He throws his spear towards the black-finned mage, hitting him squarely. A blow that took his life instantly. He falls to the ground, disappearing. Zhang Zi became angry. He can't afford to lose anymore and will focus on ranged attacks. He orders his archers to attack again, and a sea of arrows rains down on the boss. Along with that, the frog shoots its fire, and the two attacks together surprisingly deal absurd damage, taking almost all of that boss's life. Liu Yuying runs to attack as well, her strikes becoming stronger after the curse. Zhang Zi prepares to shoot another arrow at him. It seems that the elite centaur boss will finally be defeated. To Zhang Zi's annoyance, he didn't deal much damage, so he ordered the frog to attack again. Another burst of fire is unleashed, and the boss suffers a new wave of significant damage. And finally, his life reaches zero after countless struggles they endured. The creature falls to the ground, defeated and lifeless, still in disbelief about what happened. Zhang Zi was congratulated for killing the boss of the 8th layer of the demon domain. People are happy and feeling very grateful to Zhang Zi for being able to move on to the next layer now. The little princess is completely enchanted with all the rewards from the centaurs. Zhang Zi asks everyone to clear the battlefield. He starts to see what cool things the elite boss left behind and finds an S-rank weapon. Zhang Zi announces that he will distribute the items according to need, but the guys refuse. Everyone there feels heartfelt gratitude for being in the guild and for having defeated the boss. Zhu Shen also comments that Zhang Zi did so much. It's fair that he deals with all the loot, but Zhang Zi has a huge heart and still wants to share with others. Even though they wanted him to keep everything, no one complained when he insisted on sharing. Zhang Zi says that now they should enter the teleportation portal to the next layer. Up on the mountain, a group of men is watching the disbelieving guild. The men do not want to admit to themselves that the knights managed to defeat the boss. And now Zhang Zi and the others are passing through the portal to the next layer. Everyone is very excited to see what the 9th layer of the demon domain will be like. They arrived, and the atmosphere there is more macabre than expected. The place looks like an underworld, dark and frightening. The poor little princess asks if they can skip this layer. It's so bad it smells like blood. Zhu Shen suggests that everyone rest to explore the layer the next day. The group begins to say their goodbyes. Everyone is exhausted and hungry, wanting a bed. Liu Yuying is the last to speak with Zhang Zi. She tells him he should rest too, and after he disappears, she wonders if he is really Zhang Zi. The next day, bright and early at school again, the chubby Wang Yang is commenting that the national martial exam is approaching. He also talks about the spots for the martial arts academy that are already reserved. Zhang Zi says it doesn't matter who has reserved, he will get that spot. Further ahead in the courtyard, it seems there's a girl yelling at a boy on the ground. It looks like everyone is stressed about this upcoming test. The girl apparently beat up the boy and is now stepping on him. She sees Zhang Zi passing by and calls him for a fight in front of everyone. Zhang Zi continues to ignore her, telling his friend to ignore her too. But this almost made her boil with rage, and she ran towards them. When she was about to smash Zhang Zi's face with a kick, he grabs her leg. She became even more irritated for not being able to hit him as she wanted. As if the first embarrassment wasn't enough, she tries to kick him in the face once more. He dodges the blow and sweeps her other leg, a move he learned from a fighting book. She falls backward to the ground with such a loud noise that her bones must have cracked. Some girls come over to help her up, and she recognizes the move he used. Zhang Zi waves goodbye, saying he's too busy for them to fight again. People start gossiping about the scene they just witnessed as Zhang Zi leaves. Later that day, John arrived at the domain late for having overslept. He glances at the messages his friends left and decides to wait for them to return, when he is interrupted by a guy calling him leader. He still asks if the guy is part of his guild. The guy wants his help. He needs Zhang Zi to go to the 8th layer and assist the guild members. Zhang Zi asks why they didn't explore together with the giant chief god. These guys are so weak that they got themselves into trouble with 5 centaurs. Zhang Zi tells him to dry his tears. He will send a message and help them soon. But the guy stopped crying too quickly to smile, and Zhang Zi didn't notice. So they are back in the 8th layer of the demon's domain. They arrived at a rather suspicious stone alley, and the guy says it's right inside. Zhang Zi goes in, still somewhat suspicious, There are many flags and weapons in that place. The guy points to a building, saying that the guild members are trapped there. Zhang Zi shouts for them not to be afraid. The cavalry around is quite heavy, but saving those people is important. Zhang Zi prepares and summons the elite centaur chief, and the guy can't believe what he sees. Zhang Zi reassures the man, saying it's just a summoning. Then his chief charges into battle with the centaurs. Zhang Zi tells the guy to go rescue the people while he draws the monster's attention. With little choice, the man runs toward the building. Meanwhile, Zhang Zi thinks about how strange that place is. Zhang Zi wants to know why they are taking so long to come out. When a guy appears running toward him, the centaur crushes him before anything else. Zhang Zi realizes something is wrong and tells the chief to act. He throws the weapon at the man. Soon after, an arrow grazes Zhang Zi's body, and then he realizes the man lied. Now Zhang Zi's head is worth millions, and they want the bounty. Zhang Zi shoots an arrow, saying that few people like them will be able to defeat him. The arrow hits the guy's shoulder, and amidst curses, he reveals that this is a training ground, the field where the minotaurs train, and they are about to return. Zhang Zi hears thousands of footsteps behind him, and when he turns around, he sees them approaching. The guys are laughing up there, preparing to record the moment. Zhang Zi even thinks about using teleportation, but he was deceived so blatantly. The guys are wondering why he gave up using it. They think he will beg for mercy. Frankly, they are celebrating too soon. Zhang Zi is furious about this. Now they will pay the price for having tricked him. The men continue laughing and talking about how things will end badly for Zhang Zi. Zhang Zi remains still as the centaurs advance toward him. Now he wants their lives. Panic arises when the guys realize what is happening. The centaurs were surrounding the tower they were in, not Zhang Zi. Zhang Zi ordered his centaur general to command all that cavalry to the watchtower. And so it was done. The guys screamed in fear as they were increasingly surrounded. With their swords, the centaurs destroyed the tower until the top part collapsed. The structure shattered on the ground, taking the lives of the men in the process. From a distance, someone mysterious was watching everything that happened hidden. When Zhang Zi reached the 9th layer, his friends had already returned as well. That place is very messy, full of traps and crazy cultist monsters. The guide says there are these cultist monsters in red and green clothing. After the one in red is defeated, the corpse turns into a new monster and attacks. The ones in green curse the adventurer who defeated them. There are various types of these curses, and they can last up to an hour, complicating everything. And worse than all this is the boss of the lair. In his room, there are poisonous snakes on the floor. After being poisoned, if not cured immediately, one is sure to kick the bucket. It's not possible to jump straight to the boss because he only attacks after the snakes are defeated. The group discusses finding adventurers to support them in the upcoming battles. Another option would be to buy some potions, but they are so expensive that it's not feasible to maintain. Zhang Zi noticed that Liu Yuning didn't show up. She had some family issues. He suggests that they go home to rest since they won't be able to fight anyway. Everyone says their goodbyes and heads back home, worried about how they will find support. At the Liu family mansion, Liu Yuning is in the garage dressed in a fighting uniform, preparing to start. Her cousin is on the other side asking her to take it easy because she is very weak. Liu Yuning knows the girl is joking. She mentions all the incredible things the girl has done. The girl asks if her cousin still thinks she can't join the academy, throwing a punch. Dodging the attack with precision, Liu Yuning tells her not to underestimate her opponents. The redhead tries to hit with her arm, but the other one dodges underneath and taunts her. The confrontation is interrupted by He Ili calling for Liu Yuning with little patience. Tang Kao Wei asks if she is hurt. She says yes, she met a kid at school who knows the Tang family's fighting style. The two start to talk seriously about it, and Tang Kao Wei even raises her voice. She wants to go home right now to find out who betrayed the family and revealed their fight. Liu Yuning thinks that she has never really worked hard. Talent is something you are born with. The next day is the day to register for the important national exam. Zhang Zi receives a call from Pan Pan asking if Xiao Feng isn't going to classes because she is working. He gets worried. They left home together that morning, so why didn't she go to school? At that moment, a notification from an unknown number arrives. Who could it be? A photo of his sister tied up with a message telling him to give up on the exam. He wonders who kidnapped her. Does he know their identity from the domain? Zhang Zi is completely lost, not knowing what to do at that moment. He remembers someone and decides to call Shenong Xiao Qin and ask for help to find her. Later in the ruins of the city, some guys are drinking beer while Xiao Feng is in the corner. The long-haired guy was complaining about the boss while the other two started to tremble. Zhang Zi appeared behind them, breaking down the door and asking where his sister is. He kicked the guy in the face so hard that it made him fall backward. Frightened, they quickly bow down, surrendering and telling him where Xiao Feng is so he can go see her. Zhang Zi yells once more, asking who sent them to do this to her. The long-haired guy doesn't think twice before saying it was Zheng Hao. He wanted to harm Zhang Zi. The anger grows even more, trying to make him give up his spot in the fighting academy. Zhang Zi now finds himself heading to the martial arts hall, cursing everyone. Zheng Hao is already there when Zhang Zi arrives, shouting for the guy. The two provoke each other, and Zheng Hao says he needs to eliminate the obstacles, even if it's him. The boy drank a purple liquid, grimacing at the bitter taste. Now it feels like a dark aura of shadows is surrounding his body. His eyes turned red, and he says that Zhang Zi will soon discover what it is in hell. His strength became greater than Zhang Zi expected. The blow he received was monstrous. What kind of terrifying drink would do this? Zhang Zi continues dodging the strong blows. Zheng Hao pauses for a moment to provoke, asking why he isn't fighting for real. He prepares for another strike, charging at him, but Zhang Zi is ready to hit back now. He was faster and landed a solid punch in the guy's stomach. Things must have turned inside Zheng Hao from how much he shook from that. But his anger also tripled, and now he is charging like an animal. Zhang Zi was caught off guard when his neck was grabbed and he was being choked now. The grip is so tight that he can't breathe. Suddenly, the guy flies off him. Someone kicked him. Zheng Hao goes flying, hitting the wall and cracking it. That guy is tough. The one who delivered that fierce kick was Xiao Feng's teacher. She showed up just in time. She asks if he is okay, and he says he almost visited hell. The redhead gives some orders to the other guys about what to do with the crazy boy. Zhang Zi comments that he drank something strange that made him strong, and she says she knows. It is a forbidden drink from the demon's domain. Zhang Zi thought it couldn't be brought back. The guide is outdated. About 2 years ago, they found a way to bring things back from there. Xiao Feng was also there. We know that Zhang Zi must not have spoken to her before. They hug each other with nostalgia and emotion. The woman tells him to go home. He says to talk to him if they need anything, and his sister asks if he managed to sign up. Zhang Zi reassures her, saying he did. He will go to the academy, and everything will be fine. That day, Zhang Zi ended up arriving much later in the demon's domain. Liu Yuning asks if something happened. He says yes, but everything was resolved there. His partners start asking how they will fight in that lair. Zhang Zi even posted that he needed help, but it's hard to find available people. Until the Dragon King comments that he knows an adventurer who has a group that can help. The group wants to know why he didn't mention something so important and useful to them before. It's because this person is very greedy and it wouldn't come cheap. It would be very expensive. The Dragon King comments that considering the history, the man would want everything. Everyone was surprised. The guy was just going to help and wants to take all the loot for himself. The Dragon King says he is a friend of his father, a skilled and mysterious man. Zhang Zi says he is the one they are looking for. He wants to meet the guy now. They have no other choice. They need all the help they can get now, and the Dragon King will get in touch. Zhang Zi still doesn't want to go home. He wants to see a temple and calls his friends. The others will go home to rest while the three will check the situation of the place. In that lair, the monsters stay inside the temple. If they don't pass through the door, they are safe. Some people whisper about them as they walk, talking about the dangers. After walking a bit, they find a place with evil energy. It looks like a fog. Even before they start fighting the monsters, they are affected by it. The corridor is large, and beyond it is the boss, and there are also many cultists there. They decide that it's enough for today and make a small plan for the next day. In the suburbs of Tianfeng City, Zheng Hao is in the police car. They are heading to the National Security Department. Suddenly, a stone is thrown at the car. The girl in front shouts for them to be careful. The tire hits the stone, and the car starts dragging a bit on the ground. She is already getting out of the car, ready to face the situation or whatever caused that. The place looks deserted, with only the police car present. But high up on the building in front of them, a mysterious person observes the situation. The man wears black clothes and a mask with a smile on his face, a charming disguise. The redhead jumps up towards him, asking who he is. He was as quick as she was in dodging her attack, an incredible speed. The mysterious figure says that who he is doesn't matter, only that the dawn of victory will shine. Before she could finish her next question, he disappeared like Batman. Down on the ground, an explosion occurred. She fell into a distraction and let her guard down. The next day, Zhang Zi is back at school. The martial exam is just around the corner. Xiang Xiaoqin appears to talk to him, and he greets her in a very formal way. She brings news about the guy from that day. Zheng Hao has been kidnapped. The woman is there to demand a favor for having helped him last time. He owes her one. He says he will do it. She says that now he will join the National Security Department. Zhang Zi takes the paper she handed him. On the paper is the name of a person who will train him to ensure he passes the academy exam. Later, at the address, a woman was already looking for the teacher for her son. Zhang Zi arrived and approached the house. The other woman attentively watched his movements. He knocks on the door, asking if Teacher Pang is home. An old man opens the door, asking if he is the promising boy who needs training. Startling Zhang Zi, he opens the door wide and tries to hit Zhang Zi with one hand. Then he tries to strike him with his cane in a quick motion. Finally, before Zhang Zi can react, he is kicked away. Zhang Zi falls on his back to the ground, groaning in pain. The woman beside him looks terrified. Politely, the old man tells the mother that her son is not qualified to be his apprentice. He points the tip of his cane at Zhang Zi's face and tells him to follow him. The poor boy is still recovering from the scare. That old man has a heady hand. Zhang Zi spent the afternoon asking the teacher to take it easier. The training was tough. At night, back home, his sister prepared dinner for the two of them to eat that evening. He was on the couch meditating, mumbling some strange things when she called him. Zhang Zi jumped up, happily saying he understood something, leaving her confused now. Finally, he explains that he learned a very powerful dragon breath technique. Xiao Feng comments on how hard he is working to get into the fighting academy. Later, Zhang Zi was back in the 9th layer of the demon domain. The Dragon King still hadn't arrived with updates, and it seemed there had been a change. But it didn't take 2 minutes before they heard the Dragon King's voice announcing his arrival. And with him was a man called the Cold Wind, who really seemed like a cold man. The Dragon King introduced them, but the man immediately started saying that all the loot was his, quite rude. Zhang Zi said it was fine as long as he helped them clear that layer of monsters. Another guy commented that the man was just one person. How would he handle all the adventurers? The Cold Wind said that even if he was just one, everyone there would see the layer's boss. After all, they don't believe him, he asked, and he decided to give a little demonstration of his power by throwing something shiny into the air. A greenish mist swirled around the environment among the people, everyone attentive. Zhang Zi was impressed. The effect of that thing was incredible and so strong. The guy wasn't really bragging when he said he was a specialist. Zhang Zi asked what the guy's rank was, and the Dragon King said he was only rank A. Even though he wasn't rank S, he was extremely strong and had a rare and powerful weapon. That orb he threw up had the power to enhance a skill. The guy explained that as long as they were within his barrier, they would be safe. Even though they were surrounded by all that power, the 9th layer was still frightening. Throughout the corridor, many lifeless bodies were scorched and abandoned. The Cold Wind reminded them once again that he wasn't there to defeat monsters. The combat was about to start. Zhang Zi gave orders on how they would deal with the monsters in clothing. His archers shot their arrows as instructed, one even taunting while shooting. The cultists were defeated so easily, it seemed unbelievable. They had to stay alert now. Before the Curse of the Faces could take effect, the Cold Wind was already using his shining stone again. This way, everyone was immune to the curse and could continue focused on exterminating. The adventurers felt very good being able to attack without worrying now. Zhang Zi ordered everyone to finish the battle quickly, while each one did their part fighting with their own skills in the field. The Cold Wind asked the bunny girl why she wasn't fighting. She replied that she was terrible. He said she was just taking advantage while they fought hard, and she said he was doing the same. It only took a few minutes until there were no cultists left alive. The Cold Wind reminded them once again that all the loot was his. They couldn't forget. And the boss of the lair was behind that door. He needed to say something before they entered. He demanded even more than the agreed-upon amount to be paid because there were many people. Of course, Zhang Zi didn't like the idea much. They had already settled on the amount before. He said he was doing this only out of respect for the king's father. It would be complicated dealing with the snakes, and there were many adventurers. Once again, they would try to negotiate, asking the man how much money he wanted. He asked for 500,000 per person. Look how beloved he is. The group was even more shocked and indignant. That was an incredibly high amount. The guild had no way to come up with that much money per person. This man was very greedy. The bunny girl said that when he goes to the underworld, even lonely ghosts will look at him. For some reason, those words affected the guy, and he asked where she learned that. Zhang Zi jumped in, saying that the bunny girl could be impulsive sometimes. The Cold Wind continued insisting, asking where she learned those words. It was her father who told her those things. He asked if her father was Cao Ye. The bunny girl said yes, that's right, that was his name. He must have known her father. The man said her father was his leader and even an introductory mentor. She asked if he knew what happened to her father and why he didn't come back. The guy slapped his hand on his face. The bunny girl's father had saved his life. The Dragon King comments that they left national security due to an incident. At that time, the group had 7 people and Stao Yi was the leader. They were on the 30th layer. They were the first to see the Snow Woman. The chief of that layer, Zhang Zi, heard. Everyone was deceived because she appeared to have a fragile and weak appearance. She used just one strike, and 6 of the 10 men were frozen instantly. To protect him, the captain, the bunny girl's father, threw himself in front of him to save him and was frozen. The poor girl is crying emotionally. She needs to go to the 30th layer and find her father. The man seems sincere when he says she cannot go. She is too weak for that. but she says it's okay because she has a good friend who will take her there. The wind blows asks how much money the friend wants to do this. It's Zhangzi, Rakshasa, and he doesn't want money. He made a promise as a friend. After thinking for a moment, the wind blows says he will make an exception and help them today. Jokingly, the guys tease the man, saying he has changed to do a good deed. The uncle doesn't care much about that. Time is running out, and they need to go soon. As soon as they enter, they will be in the chief's sight, so they must be very careful. The energy in the room is heavy. It is dark and infested with poisonous snakes. The chief says they must now prepare to accept their terrible punishment. Oh no. With a movement, the snakes rush to attack the adventurers, slithering on the ground. The wind blows warns them not to fight the snakes in close combat. Zhangzi leads his archers to shoot arrows. They will attack from a distance. Hundreds of arrows are fired at the crowd of black serpents. Many of them are destroyed right at the beginning by them. The uncle recognized Zhangzi's intelligence and thinks he can handle things. Another guy on the team also uses his ability to freeze several of the poisonous snakes. More arrows are shot at Zhangzi's command, and they continue exterminating each snake. After they finish the job, Zhangzi keeps his word and tells Kay to collect the loot. He says he doesn't want any more. They are too poor to leave empty-handed after all. He has a heart. The group agrees that he is indeed a good person after all, feeling excited. The bunny girl says her father will praise him and be proud when he finds out about this. The uncle explains how to defeat the archbishop. They cannot be hit by dark magic. The Dragon King says what the uncle says doesn't make sense with what is written in the guide. He explains that the guide was written a long time ago and people were very weak, but with the uncle's barrier down, they don't have to worry because everything will be fine. The Archbishop can enter the third phase by turning into a giant snake to attack them. He can also drain health from the adventurer to increase his own strength. Even though it seems scary, there are many adventurers to fight the boss. They became more excited and confident. Zhangzi is ready to draw attention. The arrow hits right in the middle of the Archbishop's chest. He curses the adventurers with various names as he begins to use his powers. Orders are given on what each one will do to work together in that fight. Brother Giant God launches several chunks of ice at the boss as Zhu Shen commanded. The Dragon King and Liu Yuying, the close combat duo, spring into action, running closer. The Uncle Kai tells the bunny girl that she made a great friend. Zhangzi is good at leading. The girl comments on his ability, leaving Uncle Kai completely shocked. The man starts to tremble with fear. If he can summon bosses, he could summon the Snow Woman. The adventurers continue attacking the Archbishop from all sides. Zhangzi, supporting his teammates, keeps telling them to attack more and more. The boss barely has time to react to the many blows he is receiving and the damage he is losing. Then he decides to use dark magic. It is black as darkness and definitely deadly. Jushin curses him as he defends against a direct attack of dark magic. He is being attacked. The Archbishop's damage is extremely high. Liu Yuying jumps again, using her sword to attack several times. The dark magic hits her, and she is sent flying through the air, taking heavy damage. She can no longer dodge any of the blows because her attributes have fallen. Before she is hit again, the Centaur General appears in front of her, protecting her. Some people who know about Zhangzi's ability are very confused. The Centaur screams that he will put an end to the powerful boss by orders of his master. Uncle Kai commands those who were cursed to retreat and return when the curse passes. Zhangzi arrives, parting from Liu Yuying, asking if she is okay, and she says yes. Attacking that way is no longer working. Everyone's attacks are not causing damage. Meanwhile, the Centaur General of Zhangzi is already halfway through his life. This is not good. This dark magic is very disgusting, too difficult to deal with. Zhangzi, realizing he might lose his baby, starts to test something. The Archbishop boss became furious and cursed him again after the centaur had disappeared. Then Zhangzi summons him once more, and the centaur reappears in front of them. The curse that had hit him simply vanished, and his life was restored. The Centaur General then grabs his spear and throws it at the Archbishop, hitting his chest. And in this way, Zhangzi and his guild defeated the boss of the 9th layer. The adventurers begin to celebrate their victory, thinking everything is over. They got excited too soon. The Archbishop lets out an evil laugh and asks if they really think it's over. He is about to evolve to the 3rd phase. Everyone must be much more careful. Zhangzi has already prepared for what is to come by summoning his sky-devouring frog. A lot of black and red smoke appears, and then a huge black serpent shows itself. The snake screams that their time has come and slithers in for an attack on the group. Jushin blocks in time with his huge shield. This guy's strength is even greater. Zhangzi asks to solidify the beast while the archers prepare to shoot at it. The arrows are fired almost all at once from the bows, cutting through the wind and hitting the serpent. A bit of fear arises in them. The damage is very low. The snake's scales are strong. The serpent launches its poison at the adventurers, a toxic purple smoke. Uncle Kai uses his ability in time and tells everyone to use health potions. The sky-devouring frog starts to unleash its fire on the serpent. It was an effective strike, dealing decent damage to the serpent. Now the enormous snake was facing the centaur general once again. This is not good. Its strength must have increased 100-fold. It is very strong. The snake begins to coil around the centaur, who looks small compared to its size. His blood is being drained. If not interrupted, he will be shredded. The snake releases the centaur at once, saying that the blood is good. His life has already diminished. The centaur can no longer fight. Now they depend on the Dragon King and Liu Yuning. This guy really likes Zhang Zi. He praises him again, but Kai says the team is still not strong enough. He says they are good, but there are problems with the team composition. He doesn't see it. We have 2 for close combat, a mage, a healer, and a long-range archer. It is extremely important to have magical output in the team, and theirs is not powerful. The old man suggests to Zhang Zi to introduce some people to improve and strengthen his team. Zhang Zi would need at least 500,000 to recruit each of those people. He quickly dismisses the idea because it is too expensive, and besides, he doesn't know those guys. While the two were talking, the Dragon King was battling the snake and attacking. Unfortunately, he was caught by the legs, and the creature began to coil around him. The princess scolds him for not dodging while using her ability to try to heal him. He regains his life, and Liu Yuing tells him to fall back for now. The serpent laughs monstrously again and releases more toxic purple venom. Zhu Shen is doing her best to contain the poison. She is healing many people at once, and her energy is running low. Zhang Zi shouts as loud as he can for them to aim for the snake's mouth, because its scales are very hard. The archers prepare to shoot. One of them comments that the belly probably doesn't have scales either. The boss is preparing to attack again. Zhang Zi and the others are already in position. When the snake opens its big mouth full of sharp teeth to release its venom, Zhang Zi gives the command, and all the archers shoot their arrows. They all land in the beast's mouth, and it worked. The creature's life dropped almost entirely. The Dragon King and Liu Yuing jump together to deliver the final blows that will take the snake's life. But before they can get close, the serpent notices and begins to coil up. It coiled up until it became a huge ball. The Dragon King asks if it is trying to turn into an egg.
Our video ends here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.